Welcome into an all-new episode of Panthers On Tap. I'm Curtis Rauen, joined by Bryson, Karbley, Ricky Raines, coming to you guys on a Wednesday evening. Second preseason game in the books. We got one on the horizon tomorrow night. Gentlemen, good to see you. I have fiber internet. I hope I'm much better. It is Ethernet, so I should not have any issues at all.
The clearest you've ever been, brother. Wow, it looks really good. Yeah, man, a lot to talk about tonight. Good stuff and bad stuff. So I'm excited to get into it. Get into our 53-man prediction here tonight. I'm excited to see what you guys have in store for us.
I mean, Lowe in the comments already pretty much just took what I was going to say. He said Curtis, Bryson, Ricky, and a cold one equals life is good. That's exactly how I'm feeling, Lowe. I'm happy to be here. I don't know if you guys saw, but I was talking to Bryson before we got started here. John G's is a barbecue spot here in North Carolina. It's down in like Peachland, right near Monroe. People camp out to get to this stuff, man. It's fantastic Texas-style barbecue. Their brisket is, people travel for it. And they came down and brought their food truck down to the brewery right next to the house. We had open house for the kids' second grade initiation or whatever today, and went right over there. So I got a belly full of brisket right now, boys. Like, I am talking like you guys are very fortunate that I didn't fall asleep on the couch waiting for this thing to start, because that brisket was trying its best to take me out. But I'm here, I'm excited, and I'm ready to talk about practice. We talk about practice. Not a game.
Not even a game.
Not practice. A game. Practice.
All right. Hey, we got a lot on tap for you guys tonight. We're going to talk, obviously, the preseason recap from last week. We also have some injury updates, some trade rumors. We'll go through the depth chart of our predictions. And then we'll end on a little Cam Newton. There's a reason why I put this jersey up. If you can see behind me, that's his Auburn college jersey. So we'll end on him and talking about his jersey being retired. So a lot in store for you all this evening. Let's start off with what you're all drinking. Ricky, I'm sure you're a few beers deep here. But what do you got for us tonight?
I am. Yeah, I had a couple of beers down at Edge City Brewery, fantastic brewery in Charlotte. If you haven't been there, right now, this is a little like maintainer, just a Yellow Jacket, nice Coors Banquet. But I did go get a couple things. So look, this ties into the whole Panthers thing and what we're going to talk about tonight, right? I'm done with the summer, right? I'm ready to get out of here, man. I don't want to talk about preseason no more. I don't want to talk about practices. I don't want to talk about, what they don't care about and everyone else seems to care about. So I am trying to trick myself into believing we're already in fall. So for the first beer that I have here, I have the Founders KBS, but this is the iced latte version of it. So this is a Imperial Golden Ale with coffee, cocoa nibs, milk sugar, and vanilla extract aged in bourbon barrels. Very excited about that one. This is an 11% big fella. So I'm calling in the reinforcements tonight to keep me awake. And of course, I saw it and the basic bitch in me came out, and I bought the Southern Tier Pumpkin because they already got some pumpkin stuff coming out there in stores. And I'm going to tell you right now, man, it probably is the most basic thing about me. I will drink a pumpkin beer, man, and I will enjoy the absolute hell out of it. So I'm going to trick myself into believing it's fall, and we're going to talk about meaningful football tonight.
Bryson, what do you got?
Yeah, I do love pumpkin-flavored everything. Pumpkin spice lattes, pumpkin beer, pumpkin pie, pumpkin seeds, anything pumpkin I will consume. So I'm right there.
You and me.
You guys are both going to turn into a fucking pumpkin.
We're going to be wearing our UGG boots and ordering pumpkin stuff all fall, baby.
So I up first, I have a really good beer. It's my first time having it. A beer from Hardywood. It's a brewery in Richmond, Virginia. It is a peach triple, I think is how you say that. It is Abbey style triple Ale with Virginia peaches. It is so good. This is going down easy. It's 8.5%. Delicious beer. So I'm glad I opened that. And then if you guys could probably guess, my second beer that I have is a hazy IPA from Noose River Brewing here in Raleigh. It is in the cooler, so I'm letting that stay cool. But yeah, I'm locked and loaded for tonight, guys.
Yeah, I told these guys before I got on, I had a lot of shit going on tonight. So I literally ran. There's like a gas station. Bryson has seen it before. It's called Snacks. It's right down the street. It's been robbed a couple times. But hey, it does the job. And they actually had a Southern Pines Brewing Company multi by nature amber ale, and I'll tell you what, it's damn good. It says caramel smooth, multi by nature, toasty by the campfire. So I love the can too.
Yeah, it's a good one.
Very good beer. So
Stu here in the chat, we got to answer this. You guys will know where I'm going to land with this, but what a blessing to have this content and our hospitable host. Thank you, Stu. That's incredible. But he says, should I have a Coors Banquet, Modelo, or Victoria? Hey, Stu, I got a yellow jacket right here, buddy.
Yellow jacket,
that's what I'm starting. I'd go yellow jacket all the way, man.
Yeah, you guys know where I fall in this. It'd be Modelo for me. I can't stand Coors, so it'd be Modelo. Throw a lime in it. Victoria. I don't know if I've had too many of those. Can you guys speak on that a little bit? I don't know if I've had. I think
Victoria's just another like Mexican cerveza, if I remember correctly.
Is that what it is?
Mexican lager. Yep, I believe so. Stu, correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure that's what it is.
But yeah, we got the chat. They're coming in hot tonight. We appreciate it. We got Jay Millie here.
I anticipate that. That doesn't bother me. Jay Millie, I get it, man. I'm embarrassed to say it half the time anyways, but I do love that shit.
Making True Money, appreciate you. Gentlemen, Nick Tri-State, thank you for tapping in. Javis Belton coming in with the beer emojis.
Cheers,
we appreciate
Javis.
it. Lost me at IPA. Bye. Tony Z, man, this guy, I hope he is in here because I'd like to see what he thinks of a few things. Drink a real beer like Corona. Tony Z likes to stir some shit up on the good old Twitter and X. Hey, Rocket, is this the first time for him in here? I know he's listening to us, but
did y'all have him on the show once? I thought y'all had Rocket on the show.
Yeah, but I'm talking about on the YouTube Live. Okay. I don't know if he's ever been in here for that. What's up, guys? Nate, appreciate you. And Nate was actually one of our giveaway winners maybe about a month or so back. And there is a giveaway to talk about. We'll be giving that away very soon because we have hit that 1,000 subscriber mark. So if you look behind Ricky, there is a Sai Musim Muhammad jersey in a frame. And all you need to do is send us a screenshot that you are following or subscribed to our YouTube channel, and you will be entered in to that giveaway. We'll be giving that away right before the regular season. So we're pretty excited about that. And I will tell you to this point, there is not a ton of entries. So your chances are pretty good. So keep submitting all you can. We will be posting that on Twitter, and I'm sure it'll take off from there. But
right now, man, y'all got some great odds of getting that thing. Like, get your name in there, dude, to win this signed Muhammad jersey that's framed with pictures. I mean, really, this thing's gonna get shipped to you, man. And as long as you don't live in like Amsterdam and it's gonna cost me $4,000 to ship this thing to you, I'm gonna ship it exactly how it is. Otherwise, I might have to cut it up and you can put it together like a jigsaw puzzle or something.
Let's get into it. Let's talk about that preseason game this past week and just kind of give me your general observations. Don't steal everything from all of us here, but give us a couple things that stuck out to you in that second preseason game, excuse me. And Bryson, let's start with you. Just your thoughts. I know we were kind of away, so it was hard for us to see it, but I'm sure you saw most of that game. So just initial thoughts on that second preseason game in Houston.
Yeah, Curtis and I caught the second half of it. I had my phone in the river. We were sitting on a rock, and I was able to get it maybe via a legal or illegal stream. I'm not going to specify, but I did get it pulled up, and we got to see some Plummer action, and then I cut it off because I was done watching Plummer. But yeah, I'll start with, man, I wish Bryce would have played more. I think that's the most obvious thing from that game. I think it was 6 plays he had in that preseason game, which is frustrating. You would have liked to seen him get something going. I know a lot of fans, it frustrated a lot of people to not see that. So that was probably my biggest takeaway. I don't want to take everything like Curtis said, but really wish Bryce could have done a little bit more if Canales would have, quote unquote, not made him earn it. I don't really understand that sentiment. You can't take him out during the regular season if he's not playing well. He's not earning reps in the regular season. He needs to be on the field, gelling with this offense. So I'm really wish he would have played more.
Yep. 7 plays if you count the penalty that got us the first down, right?
There you go.
That was the most fruitful play of the entire evening for the first team, Bryson. Yeah, obviously that's the takeaway for me. But you know what? Apparently preseason just doesn't matter, fellas, like at all. Like it's just not important. We've had 2 joint practices that are much more telling and much more beneficial to the trajectory of an NFL football team.
Allegedly.
Controlled environments where they got, a little bit more say so in how hard some players go and bringing, dragging down tackles. They can, I don't know who calls the plays there. I'm assuming Dave Canales calls the plays there. We found out this time that Jansen, the linebackers coach, was calling the plays for the defense. I thought that was an interesting development. And Bryson, spoiler alert for you here, man. If you didn't enjoy watching the amount that Jack Plummer played in game 2, you're not going to want to watch much of game 3, pal, because it's going to be a whole lot more of that. And then the new guy, Bryce Perkins, which at least that's a little bit exciting.
Yeah, I'm excited to see him.
Yeah. But for this game, I don't really have much takeaways because they didn't really let us have much takeaways. Even the first team defense, man, I don't know, man. I don't know what they're doing. And I know we're going to get into that. So I'll just leave it there. I don't know what they're doing. And I didn't take anything.
Yeah. You guys nailed it, man. I went back and watched the starters. I wanted to see kind of what all the fuss was about. Cause again, we didn't get to see that initially. But yeah, it was a letdown to say the least. Like it was, for what we saw in both the joint practices, what we saw in that first game where, Bryce leads them to a score, they go out after that second drive. And then Canales is talking about, 2 to a potentially 3 series in this second game. And then they lay an egg in both of the series and then they're done. And, it didn't make a whole hell of a lot of sense. And I know that's kind of what we're all getting to. And we're going to talk about this in just a second because I think it was puzzling. I thought that was a perfect word for it. But on a better note, I do want to highlight someone because I thought he did play well in this game, and that was the rookie Trevor Etienne. I thought this was he had some shining moments in this game, and he obviously got the rock a lot. So that was good to see. So that was one guy I want to highlight. I think Princely, too, had some run stops late in the game, had some pressures. I don't think he got to the quarterback ever, but I thought he had some shiny moments for a guy with Nick Scorton, and we're going to talk about his injury in a minute. But with him out, I thought Princely had some really good plays as well. So I just wanted to highlight a couple of those guys. But we got it. Ricky kind of teased it already, and I want to talk about this because this right here just does not make a whole hell of a lot of sense. It's really to anyone. And it was kind of funny because Canales kind of like mentioned, he's like, yeah, it might not, you would think why is the star or the, the OC and the DC not calling plays when the starters are in? Like he said that in his answer. So anyway, these were the guys. It was Brad Idzik and Jonathan Cooley in that first game calling the offense and defense. And then it was Idzik again with, as Ricky mentioned, Peter Hansen. And then this last game when starters will not be in there, you have the guys who actually are going to be calling plays for the regular season. And guys, I think this just goes to show that I don't think Canales knows what he's doing in preseason yet. And he had the fumble last year of really not playing the starters. They start off slow in the regular season. Bryce Young looks like shit. He gets benched. We have a slow start. And many people said, it's just preseason. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. And then when the season starts off on a bad boat, everyone's pointing to the preseason play. And now this year, you had the starters who played a little bit more, not much more. But then you have this experimental, let's give these young coaches opportunities. And you would think they would give those young coaches opportunities in the last game with guys that aren't going to be starting. You think this would be the Brad Idzik and Jonathan Cooley game, the Steelers game. And now we're sitting here and we have the 2 guys who are going to be calling the shots calling the shots with not the starters. It doesn't make any sense whatsoever. I apologize for stealing the show here, but I just it was hilarious listening to Canales try to break that down earlier this week. And shout out to Vashti, because I know a lot of fans, I know Dunk was heavy in on who was calling the plays the last few games, and Vashti was the one that asked that question this week. But guys, fill me in here. What are your thoughts on this? I know you probably are as baffled as I am. I know Ricky's got something to say.
Yeah, I do. I'm going to start with Thick Nasty right here. What's good, fellas? Drink up. Let's do that before we get into this. Thank you, Thick Nasty. Good to see you as always, man.
Appreciate you.
Thank you for
Ricky might need a shot before this.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, we're definitely going to drink tonight, Thick. All right, so here's my thing, man. I mentioned this, right? I made a post about this, and I do understand the thought process here. I understand the intent here, right, of doing this. I really do. I promise. I know what he wants to do. Dave Canales considers himself a developmental coach, and he considers us a developmental staff. We have spoke on that many times. We have talked about what that means to us. We're learning that Canales is so sincere about that he is trying to get these guys exposure to the process of calling plays so that they have a better keen sense of what it is that he needs from them during the regular season, right? You guys see how it is for me, and you see what you need. You see what assistance you need, what help can give you benefit during that process, during calling a game and structuring the flow of a football game. I'm not mad at that thought process, guys. Like, I understand the logic behind that. Here's what I'll say. And I will preface this by saying I disagree with doing that right now. I disagree. For this specific football team, this roster, and this coaching staff. And the reason why, yeah, sure, those guys don't have a lot of experience. Brad Idzik never called a play, never called a game, right? Jonathan Cooley. These are guys that want to have roles eventually in the NFL. Are we sure Dave Canales is a effective play caller for 17 straight games with this offense? Are we sure? Or do we have a decent idea? I think that the preseason is a time to start finding your footing, right? We complained so much about last year that they looked like they had no rhythm. They had no answers for when they got hit in the face. And a lot of it was because they just didn't play enough. This year they say, hey, we're going to play the starters. The starters are going to get meaningful snaps in the preseason. All three of us, we rejoice at that, right? We love that notion. Come to find out, the reps that they played against Cleveland, Dave Canales wasn't calling it. So they're getting play calls from a different play caller. And it looks to be a little bit more structured of, hey, can you just do what I'm asking? Not so much of I'm going to take what the defense is giving and I'm going to allow you to kind of like figure this out. That's not what it looks like to me. It looks like they're getting tasked with something and they want to see about the execution. Therein lies probably what Dave Canales is so frustrated with, is that even with that, even with scripted plays, they are struggling mightily in pre-snap and operation of doing so. But what is this benefiting Bryce Young? What is this benefiting the offensive line? What is it benefiting the playmakers, the skill positions? And that's just on the offensive side of things, right? If you're going to expose these players to the potential of risk or of injury and all of those other things, there better be a benefit that outweighs it. And I personally don't believe that this process does that. If you wanted to swap it out and give Dave Canales and Ejiro Evero 2 games of calling the plays with the starters playing meaningful snaps, and then have game 3 be your experimental developmental game, I'm cool with that. That makes much more sense to me. You still get to do something that you want to do. You still get those guys an opportunity to deal with it. They could do a half each. You still get a chance for them to do it, but you also got 2 games of real work. The excuse that the joint practices are more meaningful and he can take more from them, sorry, man, I can't buy into it. Part of it is I can't buy into it because we don't get to see any of it. It's blind trust. And it's not that I don't trust Dave Canales or believe in Dave Canales. That's not it, man. But why do I have to believe everything that somebody is selling me? Because what I am seeing with my own eyes doesn't match what they're telling me. You know, it's the old George Bush thing. Fool me once, shame on me. Fool me twice, can't get fooled again. I got fooled last year. Ain't gonna get fooled again this year, right? Like, I'm sorry. Ejiro Evero is fighting for his job. I want to see what he has in his book when he has more talent at his disposal. We can't see it. They'll call game 3, but game 3 won't matter much. They want to get in rhythm, but they're going to get in rhythm with Jack Plummer and Bryce Perkins. They're going to get in rhythm with Sam Roberts, who I like a lot, but who knows if he even makes the 53. Jaden Crumedy is going to get a lot of snaps. Like, who is getting the snaps that is going to go in rhythm with you? I don't see it, man. I'm having a hard time following.
Yeah, I get both of your guys' frustrations for sure. I would say the staff, under Dave Canales is they're handling this situation, this play calling, like they are like a seasoned veteran head coach with success under their belt already and trying to be this developmental staff. But when your head coach needs development, I think it's more pertinent for him to get that in the preseason than these other guys that aren't going to be calling the plays during the regular season. So that frustration for sure, I feel with both of you. I would have loved to have seen Dave Canales call plays with the starters in the 4 drives, 5 drives, however many Bryce Young played this season. I think they came into this preseason talking a big game about the starters playing, and then they got minuscule minutes, drives, like not very far off from what it was last year at 0. And that's frustrating. We would have loved to seen more, like I said earlier, about this last preseason game. And of course, they're not playing in the third one versus the Steelers. But yeah, this is, we'll see what it looks like week 1. I'm not confident that they've prepared better than they did last offseason. I don't think anything showed me that. Bryce Young getting a little bit more action in the preseason. Does that make a big difference? I don't know. I think a lot is going to be on Bryce Young and where he's at developmental wise. I would say probably light years ahead of where he was last season, but you even hear Bryce Young talk about it. Like, yeah, I would love to be out there more. I'm a competitor. But I trust this staff. They have a plan, blah, 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 blah. And I'm not so sure that they do have a solid plan, set in stone plan at this point. I still want to believe in Dave Canales. I want to believe he knows what he's doing, but he is making it hard to trust him at this point, second year, with the, I would say, fumbles of what we've seen with play calling and lack of participation from the starters in the preseason. So, like the last preseason game I watched, Joe Burrow, right? He was in damn near the whole first quarter. They took out Jamar Chase and T. Higgins, but Joe Burrow was getting slung around a little bit, and I was like, I don't know, like if I'd be comfortable with that. But turns out everything was okay. Joe Burrow got like a significant amount of action, even without his starting receivers. I don't know about the offensive line. I'm not too sure about that, but if Joe Burrow, who has an injury history, can go out there and play an entire first quarter, pretty much, like why can't we do that? Like what's the? I don't understand. And Joe Burrow literally came off MVP caliber season last year, throwing for like almost 5,000 yards, and he's out there an entire quarter. So it is frustrating when you look around the league and see how different coaches are handling it differently. I just truly believe that they could have used the head coach and defensive coordinator calling plays with the starters for much more time than what we got.
And did you hear what they said? Or sorry, Curtis, I didn't mean to cut you off, but he talked about Joe Burrow playing. Did you hear what Coach Zach Taylor said about Joe Burrow and why he wanted to play? He said it helps him. He's like, it helps him figure out what he can and can't do, where he is right now.
They got to try something different. They've been slow to start too.
Yeah. but also if that's the case, right? If they're slow to start and they want to try something different, that makes a lot of sense to me. We were slow to start last year, and maybe try something different. I just didn't know that this was the different.
I will say though, like I even thought the Bengals kind of did it wrong, because I don't hate that Burrow played the first quarter, but I don't agree with them taking out his number 1 targets. That didn't make a whole hell of a lot of sense to me. But all of our points, it's just half-assed backwards. Like, let's just, if he would have flipped this, and we're talking about Dave Canales and Evero calling the Browns and Texans game, and then you have the developmental Steelers game with the guys aside of them, I don't think any of us is complaining. But when you do it this way, it doesn't make sense. And you got it. they only got 2 series in these first 2 games apiece for these starters. And for how slow they started last year, it just doesn't make a whole lot of sense. And I get it. Like, every team does preseason differently, and there's 100 different ways you can do it. And they've all, and in certain aspects, have been successful no matter how you do them. But for a team, and I think Ricky nailed it. Great, you're a developmental staff. That's cool. I don't hate that whatsoever. I think that's great. But for where this team is at right now, there is no reason why Canales and Evero aren't calling plays majority, if not all the time in preseason, because they also have work to do. And this isn't, you guys are a playoff team the last 3 years. This is, you guys sucked ass last year, and an accident saved your ass, and Bryce Young played well at the end of the season. Like, so we gotta, it just, things are not adding up. And, maybe this is Canales learning, taking some lumps here and learning what the hell to do. And maybe his 3rd year in preseason, he figures it out, if it gets another season. But like, it's puzzling. It's puzzling. And I know, Chad, I know you guys have been chatting here, so I want to get to some of these. I know we're doing this little show thing, but it's so damn tiny. I'm going to get rid of that for a second.
I will say, too, while we're about to read Anthony's thing, this doesn't make me, like, completely more pessimistic about the season than I would have if they had done all their play calling and all this stuff had been by the books how we wanted, and they still look like shit. I'd still feel the same way I did coming into it, because I think the regular season, when you're playing a regular game, I still think this is a talented football team. And I think that they have opportunities, especially at the beginning of the schedule. So I don't want this to seem like my disagreement with this approach means I'm out on Canales or I'm out on the Panthers.
I don't think any of us are.
Right, exactly. But there's a portion of people that seem to think that criticizing the way that a coaching staff or players do something means that, like, you hate them and you don't believe in them and you're not a fan. Like, I am a fan, and that's why I'm passionate about disagreeing, is because to me, there's a clear, obvious way. I could be ass wrong on this, though, right? So, like, I don't want it to make it seem like I'm smarter. I think that I'm smarter. This is just my take on it,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, C3 Andy says, my opinion is I do believe that Bryce is confident now, has entered a season like this since his rookie year in the same system, feels comfortable. But Canales still makes no sense with this. I do want to go to the Joko's comment, because I've seen this a bunch on Twitter, and this is one I disagree with, and I get it. Maybe this is your style of a coach, and you don't like the Canales, same person, always happy type style. But I seen the clip. I watched Ron Rivera stuff. They did a hell of a job with that, Panthers did, from the 2015 season. But he saw the clip of Ron, almost cried, because that's what a real damn coach looks like. We do got to remember, Canales comes from the Pete Carroll tree. And there's all different coaches in the NFL. And Pete Carroll coaches very similar to how Canales coaches. Is always upbeat, players coach, always positive. And that guy won a Super Bowl. So, like, there are different ways and coaching philosophies that can get you to the top. There always doesn't need to be just one. So I want to come to Canales' defense a little bit here. And I know the situation and the timing of the video doesn't help anything, but there are different ways to get to the top, and I just want folks to remember that. So, and I don't know how you guys feel about that. And Ricky, it sounds like you might disagree with me. I don't know.
No, I don't, because I also think that there's a chance that Canales is a passionate person in private quarters as well. Like, Canales doesn't strike me as the person that is afraid to tell someone when they've done something wrong.
Yeah.
Now, did he huddle everybody up at the half of that Texans game and be like, this is embarrassing bullshit? You guys need to be out there playing hard. Would the team even respond to that the way that the team in that locker room responded, right? There are massive differences between everything that we are trying to make linear comparisons of. But Canales, I still believe in Canales. I think he isn't entirely sure of himself still. And I think that he's kind of fumbling through a couple of things. Second year as a head coach, boys, like, it's okay for him not to have it all figured out. This is just the one area with the preseason that it seemed like he had a pretty clear track of, hey, man, just give it this try, right? Like, put forth some effort and make this thing matter more and see if that changes anything. And if it doesn't, then you go into your developmental thing the next year, but you have work to do.
And just to add on that Pete Carroll situation, I was listening to a different podcast, pardon my take, and they had Ed Ogeron on, former coach at LSU. who coached with Pete Carroll at USC, and he was talking about like Carroll's style of coaching versus the one for Dallas, Jimmy. What's his last name?
Johnson.
Jimmy Johnson. Jimmy Johnson was like this. Players feared him, like terrified. Like he's a nice guy, but you get on his bad side, and you know it's not good news. He talked about Pete Carroll, and Pete Carroll was an upbeat kind of coach, right? Like similar to Dave Canales, comes from that tree, but Pete Carroll was very in tune with like holding people accountable, and was also kind of similar in the sense that, you know, he's upbeat and he's easygoing, but if you mess up and you mess up again after he holds you accountable, it's not pretty. So I think, Ricky, you kind of touched on a little bit, maybe behind the scenes, the stuff we're not seeing might be there. I don't know if he's similar to Pete Carroll in any way. I know Pete Carroll is a legendary coach, right? And not trying to compare the two, but coming from that tree, maybe that's the style of coaching that we're not seeing, that's behind the scenes. So I'm hopeful that's there. I don't think he's ever going to be that style of what we saw from Ron Rivera, you know, cussing at players in a preseason game. I don't think he's that guy, but like Curtis mentioned, there are different styles that have worked in the past. Like you don't have to have one certain style of coach to win a Super Bowl. If that was the case, every coach in the league would be the same. You know, you have Todd Bowles, who seems like he's a quiet dude that doesn't really say much. And the Bucs have been pretty good for the past couple of seasons. I think there's different styles across the league. You just have to find the right match with the right team. And I'm hoping this is it. I'll reiterate Ricky's point. I'm not like giving up on Dave Canales, but you know, we need to see more. We do need to see more.
This comment I wanted to touch on because this is exactly what we're talking about. Ken also says, I can't wait for them to quiet the haters. Here's what I'll say about that. And Ken, I hope that they do. But if they don't early, if they come out in this early portion of the season where they have some winnable football games and they look flat and they look disjointed and they don't have any kind of chemistry and rhythm and momentum on either side of the ball, and they're trying to like figure it out in the first few games, this staff is going to catch hell, and rightfully so. And even if it would have been the same way, we won't know. You know, that's always that, like, yeah, grass is always green on the other side. You can't really tell what would happen. But I can tell you that if they didn't go about this preseason in a more meaningful way and we suffer at the beginning of the season because of it, it's going to be tough to overlook that again, just at least for that time period. Then you get into the portion of the schedule that is more difficult, and you're asking those players at that point to turn it on. That's tough, man. That's just a tough ask.
All right, let's move along here because there is a ton to talk about. I honestly don't know where we're going next, so just everyone, chat. You're going with us on this roller coaster. All right, here it is. Perkins signed. So let's talk about him. You guys mentioned it a little bit, but we have the Andy Dalton. And I can't even remember what the hell did he tweet? So he got hit. He got hit in the elbow on a play. The one where he missed Tedero McMillan. Yep. He obviously got hit by a defender. So there was some concern there early on. So Panthers go out, sign the UFL MVP and Bryce Perkins. And Ricky, you talked about a little bit, just some excitement maybe to watch what he can do, just, you know, in this next preseason game. But thoughts when this came across? Bryson, let's go to you since Ricky already kind of mentioned him. Excited about this, or you just think this is a signing so we don't have to see Jack Plummer the entire game?
I was excited about it so he didn't have to see Jack Plummer the entire game. That's what brought me excitement. It blows my mind how Plummer is on an NFL roster for any reason. It doesn't matter if it's a practice squad or preseason game. The guy stinks. He's not good.
God.
He wasn't good in college. He's not good.
I tried telling y'all.
So Perkins, you know, bringing that MVP caliber quarterback play from a quote unquote minor league of football. You know, he's got the ability to run the ball, right? He's an athletic quarterback. I think he's going to bring a little bit more excitement to the preseason. I would much prefer Perkins on my team than Plummer. You know, he did play with the Rams for a while. So I think, yeah, it's a signing. It kind of, I think you tweeted it out, Curtis, about the injury. Like maybe it's a little bit more serious than what we thought. That was kind of my initial thoughts surrounding the signing when it happened, but then I think Canales came out and said if it was a game and Dalton had to play, he could have played during the regular season. But I honestly believe they need to upgrade quarterback too as well, because Dalton hasn't looked good.
No.
He hasn't looked very good at all. And we saw what happened last year. He had one good game and then poo-pooed the rest of the starts he had until he got in a car wreck. So I think I think quarterback 2 needs an upgrade. I'd be looking at one of those 17 quarterbacks the Browns have maybe after cuts, but yeah, I think Perkins is going to bring some form of excitement in the preseason, and maybe I don't. They really like Dalton, I guess, for the relationship.
Canales ain't getting rid of him. No way.
Maybe
there ain't anybody out there that holds a clipboard the way Andy Dalton holds.
Yeah, maybe they release him, then sign him immediately to like a coaching hire. He just retires and they bring one immediately. That'd be cool because I don't like him being my quarterback too. But yeah, I think Perkins will be at least somewhat fun to watch in the preseason.
Yeah, I think Rocket nailed it here. Go ahead, Ricky.
Yeah, that's exactly why that comment is up there. Andy Dalton kind of just didn't want to be out there, in my opinion. LOL kind of looks like he's just collected a check. I mean, I'm sorry, Andy Dalton, if that's incorrect, you could prove us wrong. But from what we looked at, that seemed to be the case. Here's another plus, I think, about Bryce Perkins. And here's a puzzling thing about why Andy Dalton and Jack Plummer are the guys that you came into this camp with and didn't have somebody else. Bryce Perkins isn't a run-first quarterback, but he's not a statue back there. Andy Dalton and Jack Plummer couldn't scramble for their life, dude. Like, Andy Dalton was sacked by David Tepper's rug. Shout out JJ for that one. He literally got sacked by the turf. Jack Plummer, look, dude, I'm sorry. I know his dad was Jake the Snake Plummer, right? Jack is not a slithery fella by any means. Like, it's not what you would want. If you got this game plan, is so much of our game plan, our offensive efficiency and approach with our offense under Bryce Young is second plays, right? Extending that offense. It's not always going to work. And our pass pro wasn't as glorified as people wanted it to be last year. Our run blocking was fantastic, but our pass protection left a little bit to be desired. And if it weren't for Bryce Young and his second play ability to extend plays and create off script and out of structure, this offense would have been in a world of hurt. Anthony said it in the chat earlier. Let's not act like we wouldn't have been 2-15 or 1-16 possibly last season if Andy Dalton was tasked with winning all those games that Bryce Young actually won. So what Bryce Perkins gives you is at least this window of what happens with that offense if things break down and they don't go well with protection. Is there still playmakers out there that have the chemistry and ability to come back and work with their quarterback on those plays, right? Are there guys that will make exceptional plays? Because you don't get a chance to make an exceptional play when your quarterback is either getting sacked by the 15-yard line, and I don't mean at the 15-yard line, I mean by it.
That tricky 15, dude.
That tricky 15, man. He's got the long extension arms, right? He's got the thing that you look for. Or Jack Plummer, who at the first sign of panic, he's throwing it to the first down marker. And I don't mean like where it is on the field. I mean literally the one on the sideline, he's throwing it to it.
Or the opposite team.
He's throwing darts. Like literally the bar game, darts.
He was throwing darts to the Texans.
That's it, man. Like, so yeah, guess what, man? I am excited that Bryce Perkins can come in and at least give you a little bit of that. Maybe this also helps Canales and Idzik realize our backup to our very creative mobile quarterback should probably be a player in a remotely similar vein as that player.
Yeah, and I really hope he comes out and lights it up, and we're talking about a guy who might make the practice squad. Because wasn't Plummer on the practice squad last year? I believe he was.
Yeah, for some reason, man. I don't
And, Palmetto, he's mentioned shouldn't be NFL. I agree. Plummer is he's a perfect guy for the Memphis Showboats. Go put him on that team in the UFL and let him light it up like
they don't want his ass.
Panthers
No, they don't want his ass.
And let him go into the UFL. But yeah, I'm excited to see him because I've seen some of the stuff he did in the UFL, and it's something fresh. We all watched Plummer last week. He looked like shit. Dalton has been uninspiring, like Rocket said earlier. So yeah, I think we're just ready to see something different. I think all of us. Let's go here, and I think this is Scorton. Yeah, so let's talk about Nick Scorton. Ricky's guy here has the health scare this past week. Suffered a punctured lung, or a collapsed lung. I'm sorry, I don't want to collapsed lung in that joint practice on Thursday. Doesn't play in the game. They had to drive him back to Charlotte. And it sounds like, from all indications, he's doing much better. He was doing some, I think, even light jogging maybe this week in practice. But Ricky, I'll go to you first here. How nervous were you when you saw this? And obviously, thoughts go out. I want to be serious here to Scorton, because that injury is not something to joke about at all. And I'm glad he is doing better. But when you saw that come up from the second round pick, how nervous were you about that room and him?
Puckered, man. You want to talk about how nervous? Like I ate a damn warhead from the bottom up. You know what I mean? Like nervous as hell.
Crack a walnut.
It was bad news bears, man. Like, but you know what? You said it. I'm very glad that the initial report within the first handful of days after the injury is that he showed incredible progression. And Canales brought up one of my favorite things about Nick Scorton when he talked about how he was able to recover this quick. He said, the guy's 20 years old. Like, to be young, right? Like, you can bounce back in a matter of hours. Like, oh, man, I just broke my leg. And then the next morning, it's like, hey, you guys want to go jump on the trampoline? Like, the benefits of youth, man, that's the fountain everybody's looking for, right? But in all seriousness, as far as on the football field, it's very nerve-wracking, because what have we seen from this pass rush? Granted, Jansen and Cooley have been calling the plays, but the guys out there playing football are still the guys out there playing football, and they haven't been able to generate pressure for shit other than Nick Scorton, to be completely honest. We need more from that defensive front. We need more from the starters at the outside linebacker position. Pat Jones, I think, has looked okay. DJ Wanham, I guess you could say, looks okay, but okay ain't going to work when those are your starters, and that you gave them starter money to come in. And I know that they're not making huge money, but they're making enough money there that you could have signed somebody else to do the same thing, right? Remember, we had Chase Young in the midst, and we let go of Jadeveon Clowney to let these guys kind of take over. Nick Scorton has been a guy that a lot of fans, when they saw him in that first preseason game, they said, I can see that. Like that shows up, man, in the game. His ability to just create pressure, to collapse pockets, to defend the run, all around presence there. Now, how high of a ceiling? That's the question. Princely Umamielen, I think that he can get there. I think that he's developing. I think that when he is able to bend that arc and really get around and beeline to the quarterback, I think he's got special movement ability as well. He showed better run defending in this past preseason game than I think we saw against Cleveland. He's got the physical tools. So it's scary in a sense of, I feel like we have a lot of reliance on the potential of these rookies. And that's not necessarily what I think we were sold coming in. I think we were sold more on DJ Wanham and Pat Jones picking up where they left off in Minnesota with each other and creating a formidable duo that can create pressures and generate quarterback hurries on their own, right? And that it was supposed to help the secondary. And that's why we didn't maybe allocate as much funds to the secondary. And yet here we are, boys. Very similar to where we have been, where we're very worried about the fact that we can't get pressure from the defensive line or from our starting edge rushers. Get better soon, Nick. I know the regular recovery time, 6 to 8 weeks or something like that is what they say to really get back to full health. But from the sounds of what they talk about with this, they're not even acting like he's a candidate to go on like short-term IR or anything to start the season, which to me would say they think he's got a better chance of getting back well before that timeline. Otherwise, they would keep that position open on the 53.
You're muted, buddy.
Still muted. What you saying?
Oh my goodness. Sorry, Bryson. I wanted to get to Carter's super chat here before Bryson goes. And I wanted to let Carter know that. How do you like my internet, buddy? You've been talking shit about my internet. Hopefully it looks clear as day to you. $4.99, he says, Canales says practice squad spots are valuable, yet wastes one on Plummer. Panthers pass rush is banking on 2 non-first round rookie edge rushers. Cheers to you first, Carter. Appreciate you.
Cheers, Carter.
This little KBS ice latte thing is tasty as shit.
Throw some pumpkin.
Is anyone, Bryson? Why don't you take a stab at what Carter's saying here?
Yeah. I think obviously, we are banking on 2 non-first round rookie edge rushers outside, playing behind Wanham and Pat Jones. I don't know what's available out there in regards to potential players for roster spots. I wouldn't say anyone out there currently, except for maybe Jadeveon Clowney, who was on the team previously, could come in and provide competition for, Wanham and Pat Jones, and then Umi Mielen and Nick Scorton at that spot. But yeah, they say they are a developmental coaching staff. So, you're wasting a spot on Plummer, who, potentially you could get one of these undrafted guys or, somebody who gets cut, and, you could develop that edge rushing spot and maybe, get him into game action. We see what they've done with undrafted guys like Coker and Corey Thornton. Why can't we do that at the edge? That'd be nice. That'd be real good. But unfortunately, it hasn't happened. So they are, banking on a lot that these 2 guys do pan out. I have high hopes for Nick Scorton. I have high hopes for Princely, but, it might take some time, right? They're both young rookies in a quote-unquote complicated defense to learn under Evero. So we'll see how it works out. But, I have high hopes for him.
I'm going to go to Ricky's mom's question here because I think it's interesting. Why is there a position issue or more every year? Is it our recruiting, staffing, knowledge, or lack of interest to play with the Panthers? I think it's a whole lot of it. I think there's a lot of layers to it. It goes back to the past couple regimes. They didn't draft very well. Most of Matt Rule's draft picks are in the UFL. You had a boatload of really bad cap management where they were overloading contracts and a lot of dead money. And, now we're sitting here with a Taylor Moton $30 million cap hit this year. So I think there was just a culmination of so many things that put them in bad spots. And this regime, the Dan Morgan, Brant Tillis regime, is set for next year to finally come out of all that. But again, that's 3 years in. I mean, I think 2026 or 2027, we're at the Matt Rule threshold of a 7. It took Jay-Z 7 years. So for everyone who deservedly so made fun of that, that's kind of where we're sitting at realistically, of where, unless, this team comes out and surprises everyone this year and, has a real shot at the NFC South. But I do think it's a culmination of things. And there is definitely, I think there has been a lack of interest. We've all talked about the Panthers tax to get guys in here. I mean, I think that's true. But anyone else want to chime in on that?
Hell yeah. I want to chime in on that. First, nice question. That's a knowledgeable family right there when it comes to sports. Like that. Yeah, Miss Raines, nice work. Let me speak directly to you, Mom. So for me, what it is, Curtis just talked about it, the Panthers tax. That's a real thing. But the other part of that is the Panthers are spending money. They're getting free agent players in here that they're banking on producing and improving the team. And we've missed on a good amount of that. They're not doing what we are hoping and anticipating them doing. And Deontay Johnson's an example of a guy that we bring in and have really high hopes of him opening things up and expanding the offense and creating something that we haven't had, an element that we've been looking for that we haven't had. We have missed on a ton of draft picks. I mean, a ton of draft picks, specifically after the first round. We have just missed on a lot. That cripples a team because the depth now that we are struggling with, the fact that we have to continue to find, as I like to call them, the sprinkles on the ice cream sundae, the undrafted free agents, because the guys that we are actually drafting to do those positions haven't hit. Jonathan Mingo was a second-round draft pick, and he's over in Dallas right now, and they're talking about, is he going to make the team? He's got an injury that might help him, might keep him on the roster for a little bit longer. But instead, we got Jalen Coker. And Jalen Coker's terrific, man. That's no shot to Jalen Coker at all. But this guy was an undrafted free agent, which means every single team passed on him for 7 rounds. It wasn't just the Panthers that overlooked that. It was the entire NFL. Corey Thornton is an example right now that's happening here on this team. And also the reason why he's getting the opportunity, because the other guys that we've signed at the bottom of the waivers, churning the bottom of the roster or acquiring in the 5th rounds, right? Like they're not standing out. They're not making any separation. Yosh Neiman, the offensive tackle, didn't look terrific. And maybe he's going to be okay if he gets his number called again. But where's the faith come from in that? We didn't see it. I mean, it is exactly what Curtis said, in my opinion. It is a collective of bad decisions and underperforming acquisitions. And so this year, we paid the Panthers tax to bring in Turk Wharton. We paid the Panthers tax to bring in Trayvon Merrick. And those are your premier signings. And then you got Christian Roseboom, who's going to have to take over for Josie Jewell. You're banking on a lot from role players. We talked about this when we signed these guys. Outside of Trayvon Merrick, these are role players that you're asking to step into a bigger role. And I hope they do it. They showed signs. They have game film of them doing it. But they've never done it for 17 games at a starting position. And that's what we are asking.
I need to mute myself better. I'm sorry. But Bryson, I'm going to move this along. If you do want to chime in, you can. But I think this is a perfect segue to let you talk about this, because you were someone who broke this news well into March, and it has finally resurfaced again here this past week. And that is the news of Trey Hendrickson, and the Bengals are looking at trade offers for him right now because nothing has come to fruition with a contract extension with them. And if I can figure out how to do this, here we go. But we saw Jordan Schultz had tweeted something that Bryson announced and broke on this show in March. I don't want folks to forget about that. We had this in March. So the Panthers, Browns, and Colts are among the teams that have shown interest in trading for Bengals All-Pro Trey Hendrickson. An in-division and in-state trade is highly unlikely, and any deal would be tough regardless. Cincinnati is believed to want an impact player or two, plus a draft pick in return. And then Diana Rossini said teams that have recently acquired about Hendrickson were told Cincinnati's asking price included a young defensive player and a 2026 first-round pick, according to league sources. The player heading back does not have to be a pass rusher. So, Bryson, talk to us a little bit here. Fill us in from what you were told back in March, and then just your reaction to this. And would you be willing to give up anywhere near close to what Rossini has tweeted out?
Yeah, I mean, I was told back in March, announced it on the show that the Panthers had been in contact or made contact with the Bengals in regards to Trey Hendrickson when I guess a lot of this stuff came out about his contract. A lot of people thought it was about T. Higgins, and I tried to tell people that's not what I heard. It very well could be, but that's not what I heard, according to the person I trust that told me. And it turns out it probably was true. The Panthers did. And unfortunately, I haven't heard good news as of late. I'd probably be looking at that 3rd team listed as probably the favorite right now. But yeah, I think we watched that Bengals defense a couple nights ago in the preseason struggle. And I think it clearly shows they need a guy like Trey Hendrickson. They have a window. They have Joe Burrow. They paid these receivers. The Bengals need a defense, and why would you trade the person last season that led the league in sacks? It doesn't make any sense. The Bengals are an organization similar to the Panthers that have struggled, mightily throughout the years. As of recent, drafting Joe Burrow, they hit on that pick, and that's kind of led them to success. But missed playoffs last year with an MVP caliber quarterback season. So I don't think you would want to waste another one. I would say it's probably more likely he stays a Bengal than anything else. But the Panthers have shown interest, according to Jordan Schultz and what I said back in March. But yeah, in regards to a trade, yes. I don't think they're getting a first round pick and a young defensive player or star. They can ask for whatever the hell they want to ask for, but what they get is what they get, right? You got to deal with this contract, who's a 30, going to be turning 31, I think, this season, pass rusher. Yep. That isn't getting any younger, right? He has had 2 really good seasons in a row, but he wants to be paid and paid accordingly, which is totally fair. He's earned it. It sounds like the Bengals are like there with as far as the average per year and the length and all that of the contract. Just the guaranteed money is what's kind of holding them up. Is what's going around Twitter at least. And I think if I were the Bengals, I would work on that. I would say, okay, we're going to be paying you. Let's just guarantee it. But yeah, I think I'd be comfortable trading for Trey Hendrickson 100%, right? Like, we haven't had a player of his caliber at that position since, I don't know, Julius Peppers. Like, it's been a minute. So, he would immediately come in and change this defense, like, day one, having that type of player off the edge. But as far as, like, a compensation package, they're not getting a first-round pick and a young defensive player. That's not going to happen when the team has to foot the bill for this new contract. Obviously, he wants the guaranteed money as well as a very expensive contract. So I would say they're asking for what they want to ask for, but they're not going to get that if he is traded.
You got a saying around my house with a 7-year-old in it: you get what you get, you don't throw a fit.
Yep.
That's a thing that the Bengals might have to adopt if they really want to get off of Trey Hendrickson. You talked about just go ahead, man, make that money guaranteed. The problem is their owner doesn't have a whole lot of liquid cash available to him, man. His shit is tied up. He's got money. I mean, look, these guys are still fucking rich, right? Yeah. But he don't got a whole lot of cash, man. That's the big hang up here. And they've said that they're not far on compensation. They're not far on years. Yeah. They're far on guaranteed because this guy don't got the cash. Well, is there another player? Like, is there a way that we can maneuver this for, like, Logan Wilson, and we'll give him, Chris Barnes and $18 million in cash considerations? Like, is there a way that we can,
like, a hockey trade?
Yeah, right. Is there a way that we can sweeten the pot and give him and say, hey, look, we'll basically give you Trey Hendrickson back. Like, he wants to say there, y'all need him so badly. We'll figure out a way to get him on your team, but we want someone too, right? Like, yeah. I don't know, man. David Tepper, I think he's got a little bit of money. I'm pretty sure his shit is liquid. But I think as far as what do you take, Trey Hendrickson, 100%, man. I understand that maybe it is not the most seamless fit in all of dream scenarios. He's not Micah Parsons. He's not a true outside linebacker in a 3-4 base. He has played it, and the tape of him playing it is not bad. It's better than the tape that we see of the true outside linebackers we got on the Carolina Panthers. So, like, I don't know what we're doing talking about this as if, like, we're in a position to, like, turn our noses up to a guy that has 70+ sacks in the last 5 years. Everyone says, oh, yeah, but he's turned 31. I get it, man. There's all those cute little charts in grass with the nice little slopes, and they go downhill looking like, Thunder Road here in North Carolina at Carowinds. But I'm going to tell you the truth, man. He also didn't play much his first couple years in the league. He's been pretty healthy. He's been ultra productive. His defensive coordinator, Lou A., crazy fella who's now with the Indianapolis Colts, he did more of a hybrid defense, man. He wasn't just asking them to play in a 4-3 base. They did a lot of exotic looks. He did stand up, hand in the dirt. If you are interested in running some NASCAR packages, if you're interested in running some sub packages where you've got your guys doing different things, Trey Hendrickson's an athlete. He's able to do that. And he also is not some guy who is built, his success is not built off of strictly being a speed demon, right? So if his talent, let's say it does hit a little bit of a decline, right, in the next 2 years, an 80% Trey Hendrickson with the technique that he plays with and the understanding of leverage and how to win and the relentless motor that he shows, And 80% Trey Hendrickson, that's a starter on our team for the next 2 or 3 years. And we talk about like, hey, look, at least the good thing about having like these veterans in, and you hear Nick Scorton and Princely talk about how much they've learned from DJ Wanham and Pat Jones. No offense, fellas. No offense. Please don't take this the wrong way, because I feel like now I'm taking shots at our own players, and that's not what I am here to do. That is not my intention. But are you telling me that you wouldn't want to learn how to cook from executive chef Thomas Keller as opposed to the world's best Waffle House line cook? Because I would get my lessons from the guy that opened up and is maintaining the French Laundry, which is the greatest restaurant in all of America. And Trey Hendrickson has been one of the best sack artists in all of the NFL. I think Nick Scorton specifically would learn droves from a guy like Trey Hendrickson. Like, I think it would be absolutely phenomenal for a player like him. Now, compensation. Hell no. You are out of your rabbit ass mind if you think I am going to give you anything better than a 3rd round pick to start. That's the absolute highest I'm going. And to be truthful, if you want any kind of impact player to come with it, it's a 4th or a 5th for me, dog. Now, if I could convince you that the impact player might be one Shad Tuttle or Cade Mays or somebody along those lines.
So hold on,
I'll
Ricky.
give you the 3rd round pick there.
I'm going to throw this scenario out. They call up and say, we'll give you Trey and we'll take and they want, let's say, a 5th round pick and Trevin Wallace.
I don't think that we can do that, because I don't know that we have a middle linebacker that can play when Trevin is gone. Like, don't get me wrong, a player for a player, I see that making value sense, but position for that position, I think it just puts our defense in a world of hurt in the middle, because Trevin is the best linebacker prospect and maybe current player on the roster. And he's 23, 24? I think 23. I'm pretty sure he's a young player. I'm pretty sure he was relatively young when he came into the league in the draft. And so I don't know, man. I don't think I can do that. I honest to God think, and that doesn't, I don't want that to sound crazy, because I do know what I just said about getting Trey Hendrickson here to Carolina. I totally get that. But also you got to be smart about it and say, what do you need Trevin Wallace for? You got Logan Wilson and you got Demetrius Knight. Like, what do you need Trevin Wallace for? Right. And then, all right, so look, here's Low. Let's bring this up right away, because I thought you were about to say Nick Scorton to me, Curtis, and I was looking for a sound clip of a dial tone of just a phone hung up quick. And Low, guess what, man? I think Princely might be slightly different for me. I don't want to do that, but if it was Princely straight up, no draft capital, or maybe throw in like a 6 or a late round swap, right? Yeah, I'm doing it. If you want my honest to God opinion, I'm doing it. I wouldn't do it for Scorton. And maybe that's my bias on this, but it's also because I think that Scorton is a more complete player, and I see that being a really important player for the development of our defense for a decade. Mm-hmm. Princely can be that. I don't doubt that Princely could be a very effective and impact defender for us. But right now, you give me Trey Hendrickson, I get to keep Nick Scorton. You're still going to have DJ Wanham and Pat Jones in a rotation. Thomas Incoom probably makes a 53. And that's your edge rushers. Feel pretty damn good about that. And I keep Trevin in there. I keep Mike Jack. I keep, everybody else that may be going. You keep the offensive line depth. Now, here's the thing that I would say. You just saw that they're, right tackle or right offensive guard, Carson Vinson. I believe that he's out. Mm-hmm. So their interior offensive line needs some help.
Cade Mays.
I would float Cade Mays. I would float Brady. I would, man. Yeah. And I think that I would rather keep Brady than Cade. I don't know which one they would prefer, but I would float those guys out there, man. 100%. And you know what? I would give a 3rd with Cade Mays.
That's what I was about to ask.
I would, man.
Mays in a 3rd. Okay.
I would give them a high, and 3rd round pick is still high because you still got to pay this guy. But that's why I would never go 1st or 2nd. We got to pay this man. And like, what happened with Brian Burns?
What did DK go for to Pittsburgh? Because they wanted a 1st too. Yeah, they wanted a 1st.
I think a 3rd, but I look at it more of what did Brian Burns get, man?
Yeah.
Brian Burns got a second, right? And it was a second
and
swap,
fifth.
a second and a fifth. And Brian Burns is 26, 25.
Yeah.
And you're going to –
I don't think they're getting a first or a
You're
second.
not going to, dude. You're not going to. It has to be a third or a fourth for me.
Mm-hmm.
Curtis, what if they call you up and they say, we want Taylor Moton in a fifth?
Oh, I do that in a heartbeat. In a heartbeat, no questions asked.
And then you're starting Brady Christensen or Yash?
Yeah, I mean, I'm willing to take that hit to better that defensive line because I think the other offensive line can still kind of help some of those guys out. It's not going to be ideal, but you're also talking about an aging Taylor Moton. You don't know how much he's got left in the tank. $30-some million contract. It's a massive. I'm sure Carolina might have to eat some of that because I don't know if they're willing to even take that on.
So, chat, would y'all give up Princely? Y'all asked us. I want to see in the chat while we finish this conversation. I'd love to see what the chat says, especially Lo. You're going to ask that, difficult ass question, Lo. I want you to give that difficult ass answer.
Dude, I would say, do you want him by bus, by train, by flight? He's going to show up in Cincinnati tomorrow. Either way, please have Trey here by the same day.
Would you deal Scorton the same way, Bryson?
No, absolutely not. I would not. I'm with you, Ricky. I view them a little differently. Not that Princely cannot be a good player. I still think he has a high ceiling. But when we're talking about the sack leader in the NFL on the other end of the trade, I think Princely has a little bit more of a ways to go to get there. And I think Trey just adds an aspect to this defense that we don't have and haven't had for a long time. So I think if you have an edge room of Trey Hendrickson and Nick Scorton with other guys like the Pat Jones and DJ Wanham, like that's pretty damn good. I feel really good about that. So if it means trading Princely, I would do it. With Scorton, I mean, I would be really hesitant, dude. I really would. If it was like player for player, no picks involved, I might consider it. Honestly, just Trey Hendrickson for Nick Scorton straight up. We still would have to pay Trey. Maybe I'm not going to get that crazy, but like straight up, I might consider it, but I would have to think a long time about it.
I need Lo to give us an answer though, because if he's going to ask the question, oh, there he is. So he's on the fence. I was just about to call him out. Carter said Princely in a fourth. Okay. Yeah.
It's a little rich.
I would be open to a lot of things.
I'm not giving up the fourth, man. If I'm giving up Princely, dude, that's as steep as I'm willing to go because I still think Princely's a good player. Like, I hate even having this conversation. I hate this hypothetical. And Lo, I won't forget that you did this to me here tonight on live because now it's all over the internet that someone could say, yeah, Ricky hates Princely. You know how our fans are, bro. You just made me say I hate Princely. But I'm not including any draft picks unless it's like a pick swap. You know what I mean? Same round pick swap. That's about as good as I could do for him. It's all right. I still forgive you.
I don't know. I think they'd honestly be interested in one of these offensive line because didn't they just lose one of their guys? And they did not look that great in that preseason game on Monday Night Football. I mean, Joe Burrow took a couple of shots in that first quarter.
I give him Cade Mays and David Moore in a 6-round pick swap.
Oh, that's funny. All right, well, let's go.
One other player. I just want to hear you guys because this is really fun and interesting to me. What if they say straight up Damian Lewis? You send us Damian Lewis, we'll send you Trey Hendrickson.
No,
I have issues with that.
I don't think I can, man. Damn it. I like Damian Lewis a lot, man, and honestly, I think that he was just as good, if not better, than Robert Hunt at times last season.
Yeah,
and he's dealing with the shoulder, so maybe that makes you feel a little bit better. But also, what has that offensive line look like without him?
Yeah,
not good. I don't think so, man.
Yeah, I have a tough time with that too. Even I think with him out, that I think Icky drops even down from that. Like, there's so many layers to that.
Hurts his development, right?
Yeah.
C. Green says here, what does he have? Only got like 2 more years for Trey Hendrickson? I mean, maybe 2 or 3.
All right. Also, Bryson asked about Moton. Let's talk about Icky here for a second.
Oh.
No, absolutely not.
Okay, but it's interesting. So you got a guy on a 5th-year option. They didn't want to give him the long term, and they couldn't come to terms. You have Brady, so you could say maybe Brady on that left side.
Fuck, maybe.
Ricky, stop. No, we're not doing
Ricky,
that.
where you said you'd do it?
I would be closer to trading Icky than I would Damian Lewis. I can tell you that much.
God.
I agree with you. I
don't know how. Listen, I am not like sold on Icky at all, right? Like I think he still has room to grow. He's a really good run blocker.
But somehow you secretly love him
and pass block. But last season he was at least consistent for the most part. I think overall an average player at that position, left tackle. It is so hard to find a good player at that position at left tackle.
No doubt.
You put Brady Christensen out there who's getting beat by third stringers in the preseason, or Yosh, or whoever the hell you want to put there. I think that just.
I thought y'all like Brady Christensen. Wasn't I getting made fun of for not liking Brady Christensen?
I agree with you, Ricky. I'm not.
I'm not as comfortable with that.
I put Brady out there for the rest of the year, and you go get your left tackle in the next year's draft. I ain't worried about it. They were going to do that anyway.
Killed while Brady's out there.
Yeah, I mean that's Bryce's blind side. Look, he's comfortable with his offensive line. He showed that last season towards the end of the year. They returned every single one. I asked about Damian Lewis earlier. I probably would not do that either.
But also to defense of Brady, have we seen Brady with the starters? We have not. At left tackle.
Last year you did.
But Damian Lewis aside of him.
Damian Lewis was next to him.
Orbit aside of him. Did Brady start? Did Brady start?
But with Bryce Young at quarterback, Ricky? But with Bryce Young?
All of them. Against the Giants.
Running back?
Start at left tackle last year, though. That's what I'm saying. Like
he played left tackle last year.
I thought he was at center.
Ricky, was Xavier Legette at wide receiver?
Everybody was playing their fucking positions.
When did Icky get hurt? He
missed like 2 games. Okay. I believe it was the Giants game and maybe the Saints game after that.
Okay.
Ricky, how was Brady during those 2 games?
Brady was exactly how I thought Brady would be. Bryson?
Serviceable.
That's not what I said.
That's what I said.
I know it. I know it.
Serviceable. Hey, I'll do that. I do Icky. Give me Hendrickson, and we'll figure out.
Well, the only thing about the Icky thing that makes that relatively more appealing, right, or at least more like thought provoking for me, you got to make a decision on that 5th-year extension that he's going to cost a lot of money. Now, ideally, you want to see what happens this season, right? For at least like portions of it, you want to see how it looks. Has he progressed? I thought he looked okay in the preseason so far. Honestly, he's one player that when I have like singled out and watched him, I think he shows a little bit of understanding, and I think he looks like he's getting what he needs to do. But there are still legitimate questions about should you pay Ike Ekwonu $25 million a year to be your left tackle, and can you get better? My thing with Ike has always been that if it doesn't work at left tackle, I 100% still think that he could be an interior offensive lineman. I think you could potentially look at moving him to the right side, right? I still think there's a little bit of versatility, but I don't know that that's a surefire reason to pay him $25 million when right now you got a guy like Cade Mays and Brady Christensen that could do the same damn thing, and it's for like $6 million. So,
all right, we're going to end that conversation. There's a ton
good conversation.
Yeah.
Appreciate the chat for bringing that up.
Yeah,
Whoa, I actually forgive you entirely.
Y'all. We appreciate y'all because I know we asked and you guys delivered on that. So I appreciate all of you, and it's a good time. We got 760 people in here right now, 760 plus listening in. So we appreciate you guys taking over this Wednesday night with us. If you don't see that little scroll bar going across the bottom, the ticker, we are doing a giveaway. It's the Musim Muhammad signed jersey. It's over Ricky's, I believe that's his left shoulder, maybe.
Yeah, it's over here.
Yeah.
I hate moving the fucking camera.
It's framed. We're going to be giving that away right before the regular season. So if you have not entered that giveaway, all you got to do is take a screenshot that you have subscribed to our YouTube channel, send it over to us. We'll get you in that giveaway, and we will be selecting the winner for that very soon because it's so weird. I feel like the NFL is like a week ahead this year, or a week ahead. Like regular season's like what, 2 weeks away? Not even.
That's right.
It's crazy.
And we're gonna finish that drawing on our last episode before regular season kicks off. We'll do that so that can get to its new home in the regular season.
But let's get to our prediction. So we did a 53-man roster prediction because I believe cut downs need to happen by next Tuesday. So I want to kind of set the stage for everyone. We did this as if we were making the decisions. This is what we would do. This isn't what we think they're going to do. So I just want to get that out there right away. We'll start off, and honestly, the first couple, we were all on the same page here. So we'll start with quarterback. All three of us have agreed across the board. And for folks that don't know, Bryson, unless Ricky sent Bryson his, or Bryson sent Ricky his, they have not seen this. I saw it. But we all three kind of agree. I think this is a no-brainer. 2 QBs. I don't think we need to spend much time on this. We all, unless someone wants to really chime in here.
The only thing I would say is I would love if the picture next to Bryce wasn't Andy Dalton. I genuinely think, honestly, I think that if Bryce, I'm going to be completely honest here, fellas, and this may be way over the top because Andy has his entire tenure in his career to like fall back on. If Bryce Perkins looks exciting, dynamic, capable, competent in 1 week of being here and going out and playing in a preseason game, which I get it, maybe he doesn't get to perform in the joint practice, and that's probably really where our coach wants to see what he can do. But if he comes out in the preseason and he plays an opponent with, pads on and in an actual game setting and he looks good, I'd roll with him. Fuck it. I don't care.
I would not hate that either.
I would do it, man. Scared money don't make money. Bryce Perkins was an MVP of his league. He was under Sean McVay for a little bit. He did have a home in the NFL. And why would that be that much worse than Andy Dalton, boys?
We took a chance on PJ Walker.
Exactly. Hey, one more thing I want to float out to the chat. If you guys think that I should do a shot to try to work through this 53-man projection, tell me, because I'm feeling very impressionable right now, and you could convince me to do it. So,
and we need a super chat. This ain't a standard chat. We need a super chat in this.
I need at least 5 yeses and one of them a super chat, and I'll fucking go get the whiskey.
Or and tequila. Chad, I also want to know. Chime in on these predictions as well. What are you guys feeling? I think this one's pretty obvious, but what are you guys feeling about these position groups? And let us know. We're going to move on. Like I said, off the top, all of us were very similar in this. We all went with 3. So we all think Blackshear is on the outs here and not making this roster. So I definitely think that needs some unpacking, because I think there are some folks who would think Blackshear might be a returner this year. But if you've been listening to this podcast, I think for quite some time, I want something new back there in that return game. I think it's just, I don't know. I don't think Blackshear's that exciting. And I know he had a ton of yards last year. I think that was skewed a little bit. But yeah, I like this room. I know I was kind of on the fence about that 4th round pick. I'll own that until I see what he can do. But I think this is a solid room. I think we all can agree on that. 2 1,000-yard backs, and then you go and get a young guy in the 4th round who's shown some promise. But thoughts on this room, Bryson?
Yeah. When Jonathan Taylor, a.k.a. Jonathan Brooks, comes back, it's going to be even more exciting. But yeah, I think if you watch, I know you, Ricky and yourself, Curtis, haven't watched the blueprint. They highlight a play from practice from ETN that was really nice. On one of our best players on the defense. And he's shown some stuff in preseason as well. We talked about that in the last preseason game. I think this is a really good room. I really do. I'm confident in these 3 guys, headed by Chuba, who has really grown into a leader, a vocal leader on this team. And, you have Rico Dowdle behind him with a 1,000-yard rushing season under his belt. And last year, we saw what he did versus Carolina last season. So I'm very comfortable with this room. And I think when it comes to Blackshear, he gives you a floor at that position in kick return and punt return, a safe floor, but he doesn't give you like that high ceiling. And I think that's what we're all looking for, that like excitement, that return ability to take one to the house. I don't think Blackshear really brings that. He's going to catch it. He's going to get you 20, 25 yards on a kick return consistently, but I think when you put guys back there like ETN or Jimmy Horn or anyone else potentially, you have that chance of it going to the house, and I think that's what they're looking for. I think that's what we're looking for when we made these predictions. So I'm very comfortable with these 3 guys.
Well, and I don't think he adds much value to this running back room, and I think there's other spots that are deeper that I think can take away from this room. So Ricky, chime in on the running backs.
Okay. What does Raheem Blackshear do better than any of these three players?
Nothing.
Not.
And that's not a slight to Raheem, but when they got Trevor Etienne, it was writing on the wall, man. I mean, like Trevor, the one thing we've always wanted to see from Raheem is as a receiver out of the backfield, right? Or at least that's what I always wanted to see. I always thought that's where the value was, as this like explosives, screen player, wheel routes, in the return game. It never really happened. It just never happened, man. And Trevor Etienne in the little bit of preseason action we've seen, I feel more comfortable with it, man. Like I can see it coming to fruition. I also think that he has proven that this doesn't need to be some two-headed monster. This is a committee that can really be effective playing all three of them. And that also gives me a ton of excitement for when Jonathan Brooks gets healthy, because I'm not off that damn train yet. When Jonathan Brooks gets healthy and it's Chuba, Jonathan Brooks, and Trevor Etienne, watch out. That's a fun room right there. But no, I think that this is the three. I think this is where you go. If I were to keep a fourth, I'm probably keeping Imani Bailey over Raheem Blackshear at this point. And that's just where I'm at with it. So I think they keep three because it's a numbers game and three makes the most sense. But into more important news for right now, I did go get old Ezra, 7-year barrel strength.
Let's go.
Now look, Lo, you're in the chat and you kind of got me going on this. I didn't get the 5 I wanted. I didn't even get the super chat, but Lo said, I'll do it with you. So Lo, I'm holding you to it, man. You don't got a camera here, so I can't see if you're actually doing it, but you're a trustworthy guy. So you let me know when you're poured up. I'm going to pour mine now, and we'll cheers and we'll get to it.
And we'll wait for that super chat. All right. Joko, are you a Falcons fan? I don't know.
No, Joko's making fun of Mike Clay. Joko's making fun of Mike Clay. Put out his little rankings.
Oh, I'm sorry.
And I thought this was like a fantasy football thing, right? Because Mike Clay does the fantasy show with Field Yates. And so I'm sitting there and I'm like, don't take this into consideration. It's fantasy. Like these guys, they don't talk about football the same exact way. And I play fantasy, but it's not the same thing.
Yeah.
But Mike Clay had us as the 28th ranked rushing unit in the league. And that is just
watch the NFL football?
Mind blowing, right? I mean, literally 28th in the league. It was crazy. We swapped out Miles Sanders for Rico Dowdle, and we take a major regression.
Don't you love when analysts just don't watch the Panthers and then they say like some dumb shit like the offensive line was bad last year?
I love when they tell them themselves so I don't have to watch their shit anymore.
Curtis, you need to apologize to Joko right now.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I just saw some sliding of a couple of things we've said, so I'm like, but
I think Curtis should have to take an apology shot. That's horseshit.
Ricky, you ready?
Pig. Is it Whistle Pig bourbon or is it Whistle Pig rye, Lo, while I pour this? And I will put it up to the mic so you can hear that I am actually pouring it.
So
almost got all the way up to the top. That was a risky
Don't
one.
let him lie. He's drinking apple juice.
I swear to you, when you see my face, if this is the face I make with apple, this is barrel strength 117 proof. It's got a little bit of kick to it, man. I like it. Cheers, Lo, to the Whistle Pig. I hope it's the bourbon. It is the
bourbon. Yeah,
man. All right, cheers to you. Here's to looking up your address. Yeah.
Damn, did you break that shot glass?
No, this thing's like fucking ceramic, dude. This thing will never break.
Ricky, there was a saying in that podcast I mentioned earlier with Ed Ogeron. He had so many like one-liners, but there was one saying that stuck out to me. I was like, man, Ricky would love this. He was talking about something his dad always said, like after he got done eating like a big meal, and he's got like that Louisiana thick accent, right? You've heard him talk.
Yeah, yeah.
And he was like, yeah, my dad, he said he wore a size 38 pants, so he bought let me restart. I'm sorry. I got it messed up.
That's okay. You got this.
He said, I wear a 38, but 40s feel so good. I bought a 42. And I was like, damn, Ricky would have loved that.
That's it. That's my jam right there. Man, I feel that on a spiritual level. I didn't know that Ed Ogeron's father was my spirit animal.
I was like, man, with that brisket Ricky ate.
That's how I feel right now.
Yeah.
You know why I wanted that shot low on the low? You know why I wanted that low? was so that it would burn some of that John G's brisket that is just sitting in a pit right down there.
All right, let's move on to wide receiver here. Again, were
we all the same?
We all were the same. I was kind of on the fence. I almost put 7 here.
Who would your 7th have been?
Bryson Tremaine.
Me too.
And I wanted to do it, and then I kind of got lazy with these graphics. I'm like, fuck this. I'm not going against the grain, and we're going to go with 6. If you want my honest opinion. But, yeah, I mean, I think this is a solid room, and I also think with 7, how much is that 7th really getting action? It's tough. It is. Carolina ran so many 3 wideouts last year, and you barely saw some of these other guys. So I don't know. I thought 6 was the right number, and I think all of us can kind of agree. You'd be crazy not to keep Jimmy Horn on this roster. Hunter Renfrow is coming off that injury, but dude finds ways to get open. And I was one of those guys that didn't think this guy was going to make it. I thought he was just a training camp story, but hey, he proved me wrong.
2 points I want to add to this. First of all, the guy on the bottom row in the middle does not look like me whatsoever. So
he's just like you. I thought I was sitting there listening to you talk and staring at him, and I was like, why is he not moving his fucking mouth?
Maybe with the beard, we're a little similar. But first of all, I'm not balding. I think I have a better hairline than him. And he is a little
definitely
skinnier.
Got a better patch of lettuce up there.
And then second point I wanted to make was once you guys watch the Blueprint episode, they were doing like this roster evaluation in that episode, and they mentioned these 6 guys and no one else during that episode. So make sure you pay close attention to that. They didn't mention any other wide receivers besides these 6 guys.
Yeah.
So I thought that was pretty telling, and I want you guys to tune into that, or really keen into that in that episode. But yeah, I think this room is, oh my God, it's good. It's really good. It's deep. I'm excited about the depth and the growth of this room. T-Mac has a lot of room to grow in his first season. Xavier Legette hopefully takes that next step. You got Jimmy Horn coming in year 1. You got Hunter Renfrow coming back from a health scare. Coker, who, I mean, this guy is just so consistent and makes plays, and it really has become one of Bryce's favorite targets. I think when we hear about highlights from training camps, it's always Bryce to Coker touchdown in the red zone, or Bryce to Coker for 20 yards. Like it's just so consistent with that guy, and I think he's continued to grow. I just feel really good about this room. I really do. I think this is one of the most complete rooms on this team.
Right here, what Lo said, and this is what Curtis and I were talking about at the beginning. He said he's got 7, and Bryson Tremaine has special teams ability. That's the thing. When Curtis, you brought up how much is wide receiver 7 going to be involved, right? Gotta have special teams contributions. And Bryson Tremaine, they had him every opportunity they could find. They had him on special teams, essentially, in week 2 of the preseason. They are trying to make sure that this guy has that ability, and I think that he showed he does. I think that would be where I could see it. And now when we get into other positions, I'll be able to show who I ended up going with instead, and maybe that will help with the reasoning. But I think Bryson Tremaine is a guy that has earned. We talk about the blueprint. I haven't watched it yet, right? But that clip that you're talking about, Bryson, I did see that before we came on the show. I saw that clip because it's on Twitter and somebody else posted it. And you can hear Brad Idzik, and he's like, 6, maybe 7. He's like, 7 would be cool, but I mean, it's hard to go more than 6. Like, you hear the way that he's speaking about it. I think he knows that with the rest of the positions and what they need from a special team standpoint, what they need from depth on defense, what they need even depth in that tight end room with Tommy Tremble, I think he knows that 6 is the number he's going to have to get to. And even then, I think he's like 6 would be cool. Like, I still think he's like, I hope we can keep 6. You know what I mean? I think 7 is a stretch. The more that I hear them talk about it, they love the guys, but I don't think they can find the numbers. I think that they are very, very hopeful that Bryson Tremaine will be able to sneak through waivers and land on that practice squad. David Moore, don't forget, does not have to go through the waiver process. He is a vested veteran. So he can get off and go immediately to the practice squad, or he can sign with someone else. Like, he does not have to go through the waiver period. That is also something to consider when you think about why they would cut him, is they can do that in a way and manipulate the waivers and get him to where he needs to be. Maybe they keep Bryson Tremaine on the initial like they did with Jalen Coker last year. And then once everyone's made their initial cuts, then you do a little bit of a sneaky, how do you do? Here's a, backwards handshake behind everyone's back. I'm the guy standing behind the tree shaking your hand. You know what I mean?
No,
I don't really know what I mean.
I mean, that could be a possibility. They did it last year with Jalen Coker. What's up, Doug? Appreciate you for tapping in with us tonight. I do want to talk about just quickly, and I know we could go down a rabbit hole here, but we saw the Minnesota Vikings. They might be poking around in that wide receiver market. Any thoughts with Thielen and, sending him back home for a little last hurrah in Minnesota for his final year? It seems like, at least in the NFL. Would you be crazy to get rid of Bryce's security blanket? Ricky looks pretty pissed about even this question. Sorry I asked it.
No, but for what? Like this is a conversation, that we've had with some other people, and it's like, for what? Because
7th.
Yeah, right. And I don't want that. You know what I mean? Like, I honestly
who's a guy on their roster that's a potential.
So look, I talked earlier about having a list of 19 guys that I'm watching. 19 guys that I went through rosters and I looked at. And there is one on Minnesota that I'm looking at. And I'm looking at him as a potential. He may not make the roster. I've read some of their coverage and tried to see he's in a battle with another undrafted free agent. It's cornerback Dwight McGlothern, second-year kid out of Arkansas. He's a ball hawk, 6'2", 198 pounds. He's got the physical profile that we like. He's had a really nice camp, but they also have an undrafted free agent that is having a really nice camp. And that undrafted free agent is getting some burn with the twos in the preseason games and during camp reps. That this guy may not make the roster, but I'm going to tell you this. I'm not trading Adam Thielen for a guy that's not possibly making the roster. Like, you trade Thielen for a guy that can come in and start or at least push for competition, because Thielen's going to start. Now, could you say, well, if Thielen's gone, it opens up room for Jalen Coker, opens up room for Hunter Renfrow? Sure. But what happens if one of them gets hurt? Who's playing? Like, I just think that you don't eliminate depth for the sake of bringing in a guy who maybe even makes your roster over a guy like a Caleb Evans or Shamar Bartholomew. Like, that's just a tough sell for me. Now, I think that if you got a guy like Claude Sherrillis, right, and you don't think he's going to make your team, maybe you call them about Claude, because their middle linebacker situation sucks ass. It's terrible. It's awful. So maybe that's where you go. But Adam Thielen, look, do what the Bengals are doing then. We'll trade you Adam Thielen for a second. Send me a fucking second.
Bryson, real quick on Thielen.
Yeah, I'm a little. I would consider it. I would. I think Renfrow would fill in real nice in that spot. I think Coker.
You just want to see yourself playing football.
I think Coker would appreciate the more time on the field and play well. And then you throw in a guy like, maybe they would keep David Moore, or maybe they would keep Bryson Tremaine on the roster. Side note, there are so many people on this team: Bryce Young, Bryce Perkins, Bryson Tremaine. Like, I feel like I have to be on this roster, dude. Like, they got to sign me next. But
yeah, the question is the proper spelling. Is it the way you spell it?
No, it's not. Right. So they got to add my spelling. Like, it only makes sense to complete the trilogy or quadruple elegy or whatever it's called for the Brysons on the team. But as far as Thielen, I would consider like a 5th, 6th round pick. I think if they called and said, hey, we will give you a 6th round pick for Thielen right now. I think Thielen has mentioned wanting to go back to Minnesota. I think he still owns property out there. Maybe doing him a solid and also getting the younger guys on the team some more playing time. I think I would consider it. There we go, Carter.
So who you trading? Who are you getting for him? What are you getting for him?
A 5th or a 6th. I mean,
I don't be nice to him?
I don't think you're getting more than that anyways. Like
Yeah, I don't want a draft pick. Because
you just want more time, though. I think for Renfro and Coker and stuff like that. Is that what you're basically saying, Bryson?
I think that's what's pushing me more towards accepting that trade.
Okay.
Yeah.
If I did this, I'd want a player in return, someone that's going to help. I think it had to be the right. Like I agree with Ricky. If you're talking about a roster bubble that might not even make that other team, I don't want it. I haven't looked at Minnesota's roster. I'm not going to pretend to even know what the hell they got. But if there was someone out there that would fill a need for Carolina in a starter role, I think it needs to be. Like Thielen's going to be starting. There's no doubt about it. So I'd want a guy who's going to be starting. I don't want a draft pick. But if there was a guy out there that you could trade and maybe, push for like a safety or linebacker, I would consider it. Just based off of what I've seen from Bryce in camp with the wideouts, like Thielen, they haven't thrown much to Thielen. Bryce hasn't looked his way much. And I don't know if that's just they're not reporting it and it's happening more often than we think, but it hasn't happened. And I guess that's why I'm more prone to it. Because I know if you asked me this in spring, I'd tell you, no way, not a chance. So, we'll see. We'll see what happens. I doubt they do it. I think this is going to be your room going into the season. But let's move along here. Let's go to tight end. I think this is our first change up. And it's Bryson. Bryson goes with 3. Ricky and I go with the 4. I'll go real quick here. I think James Mitchell has played a shit ton this preseason. I think there's question marks with Tommy Tremble. I know Canales said he's moving along, but he's still got to go up against, to see what he does in the blocking aspect of the game and actually going up against another team. So I think I have a hard time believing he's going to be ready for week 1. So I think that's why you'll see James Mitchell with that 4th roster spot. And I do think he's played a lot. I think he's shown some capability. I'm not saying this guy's like a surefire starter, no, but I think for depth-wise and with Tommy Tremble's injury, I think that's why they carry 4 to start the year.
I think James Mitchell provides special teams. Tight ends, linebackers, safeties, wide receivers, typically where you're into, or safeties, I mean DBs, corners, and safeties, typically where you find a lot of your special teams players. Our wide receiver room doesn't have a whole ton of special teams contributors. So when you look at it in that vein, you got to start building that special teams unit with some of those other positions that tend to lend themselves to being effective special teams players. James Mitchell has done it at previous NFL stops. He has done it so far here in Carolina. And by all means of reporting, again, this is the thing. We can't see this because we're not in training camp this year. We don't get to watch any of this stuff. But from all reporting, James Mitchell has looked probably like the second best tight end on the roster behind JT Sanders. And that is just what they are saying. You don't have to read anything into that, but that's if you go through the articles and you round up every mention of tight ends. James Mitchell is probably the guy that you're going to hear the most glowing stuff about after JT Sanders. I don't think that will be lost on Dave Canales, who I think has an affinity for bringing in hardworking players. David Moore, for crying out loud, right? Like if you're not willing to get your hands dirty, then he's probably not thinking of you the same way. But this roster right here, I think that James Mitchell really fits. Remember when they had Jordan Matthews, right? And it was just because of the way that he played the position. It was the way that he was willing to do anything for the team. While Curtis sits here and I don't know if he's having a seizure or if he's just trying to figure out the layout.
No, I was trying to figure out a better layout.
Okay, good. I'm glad you're doing well over there. But James Mitchell, for me, man, it just makes sense. This is when we talked about that 7th wide receiver. This is one of the players that I think would end up being like directly fighting with a Bryson Tremaine for that 53rd spot. It doesn't always have to be position room where they're fighting for that 53rd spot, right? It's who's going to make that special teams, who's going to be that impact player in all 3 in 2 phases of the game as opposed to just one room. So yeah, I like James.
So Bryson, did you take 3 because you think Tremble's going to be ready week 1?
I do. Also, I think you made a mistake on this post here on this slide. Tremble
damn it.
No, Trimble should be above Jatavion Sanders. as tight
Oh,
end
I was
one.
like, shit, I probably did fuck something up.
So I'll forgive you for that mistake, Curtis. It's totally fine. But yeah, Trimble
Hell
should
to
be
the
one.
no. Hell to the no.
We
I
saw
like
that
how
drop
much
and-
Curtis trusts you, though. You told him he made a mistake, and he didn't even know what you were saying. He just goes, "God damn it!"
That's why I tried to hold him a little bit, but yeah. Three. Listen, I understand four, I really do, but I think if we're talking about James Mitchell versus some of these other guys I had on the fringe, I would rather go with depth at other positions. I think it really does. You have to take into consideration where Tommy Trimble is in his recovery. It sounds like he's doing pretty well, but if he's not ready week one, I would not be surprised if they keep 4 tight ends. Obviously, you don't want to go into the season with only 2 healthy tight ends, on the roster. So this is basically just me hoping Trimble's ready to go week one.
All right, let's go to offensive line, and I think we all agreed on this. I think there was another. Yeah, I mean, across the board.
Fuck. That's the guy I was. Oh man, I should have went with Kingston.
I feel like the first 9 are kind of no-brainers. I would
Yeah.
honestly be shocked if one of those guys honestly gets cut. But Bryson, let's start with you on this. We'll go the opposite way. Why Carter at that 10?
Yeah, so I was between those two guys, man, and I watched the most recent Blueprint episode, and Kingston had a really good play that was highlighted, quickly showed in one of the practices, and I was like, damn, if, it's probably too late to tell Curtis to switch that, but I think in week one we saw I saw Carter struggle, and then Ricky had mentioned in the episode, after that first play, or after that first scene of him struggling, he kind of played well. So I went back and watched it again, and he played pretty well after that. I think Kingston's been good too, good to decent, as that second, third string guard position. And then I saw that play in Blueprint, like I mentioned. So I think it'll be between these two guys on the fringe there. Really, either way, I wouldn't be mad with. It is a depth spot there, and I think Carter has some promise. I think Kingston does too. But I just went with Carter just because of what happened in week one. I went back and watched it, and I just I felt good about it. But Kingston, I'm not going to argue with that. I'm really not. I think they can go either way, and it'll be fine.
I think sometimes momentum and recency bias and the last impression that's been made goes a really long way. And I think that Jarrett Kingston has just shown that when his number is called, he's ready to play and he could be effective, right? And I'm not saying that he's necessarily like a world beater, but also when you talk about a developmental staff, this is a young guy that has a little positional versatility, could play the center position, could play the guard position. They love those kinds of players here in Carolina. I mean, we're staring at a few of them, right? Brady Christensen, Chandler Zavala, Caden Hayes. Those players, this is interchangeability, man, that they love. And I get it too, especially on the offensive line, because you don't want to have to carry 12 players in your offensive line room. That severely limits the depth that you have for special teams and things like that. Or if maybe one of your skill positions is going through injuries, it's harder to keep some of them on the practice squad when they're talented players. So Jarrett Kingston for me makes a lot of sense. The only other guy that I toyed with here was Luke Kandra, the undrafted free agent that, again, I had a 4th round grade on him out of Cincinnati. I like him. I like him as a player. I think he's a good player. He, again, has that alignment versatility that I think works. But I do think that there is a real chance as an undrafted free agent. All 7 NFL teams passed on him. He hasn't exactly been showcased in the preseason. They aren't being loud either way about their feelings on him. That may be intentional, right? So I think that there's a real opportunity for him to be able to slip to the practice squad and be that developmental player. Because remember, I think that they can bring up 2 players every game from the practice squad. I think they can call that up. Isn't that the new thing? So some of these guys going to the practice squad, I think, is part of the strategy. And so maybe you don't hear as much vocal praise or vocal conversation about them, because what you want is them to kind of fly under that radar and get to the practice squad.
Hey, I just want to shout out everyone. We haven't. It's been a while since we've been closing in on 900 people in here, so we appreciate every single one of you guys.
What's up, guys?
Seriously. this late. It's good to be back at that
Sitting
number.
here drinking a pumpkin. I turned the air conditioning down when I went out there to get the AC. I turned the air conditioning down to 68, so it is fall inside my house. I don't give a shit what it's doing out there.
But no, I just wanted to shout out everyone. Yeah, I went with Kingston for the position flexibility or versatility, I should say. He played center snaps this past game with Cade Mays at guard. And I think, like Ricky said, I think this stat values that. And he had some good plays mixed in there. So that's kind of how I went with him. I still wasn't a big fan of Carter at the first look.
Do you guys think
I need to go back and watch that, but I didn't see a whole hell of a lot from him.
Do you think you should put any I don't know, like look into Carter being that starting guard with the ones in that first preseason game? Like do you think there's any viability in that?
I think that there was interest in seeing what he would do with that group.
I just don't think they had a choice.
Yeah, because Chandler Zavala was hurt.
Yeah.
And then I think that what they did is at that point they still had Cade Mays competing with Austin Corbett, right? Mm-hmm. For the center position. So I don't think they wanted to see him with the ones because they wanted to see what Corbett would look like potentially with a guy who may have to play next to him at least, right?
Yeah.
But I think it was also just intrigue because he hadn't been there. They like the physical. I mean, his physical build matches up very well with what Damian Lewis is built like, right? Yeah. So it may just be similar. Like we want to see what this could look like from a quasi like physical standpoint. But Jared Kingston, I think, has just kind of earned that. And there's other players that we'll get to later too that I think have done that same thing, where it's that recency thing. What have you done for me lately? What's the last thing on my mind when I think of this player? That's just that's the hard part for me. And I think that him getting that first start, to me, it didn't mean that much because of what everything else has transpired since then.
All right, let's go to D-line here. And we kind of fluctuated. So Ricky is all on the left. Ricky went with a 5-man defensive line group. Sure and then did. Me and Bryson went with 6. And differed.
I am shocked. I am absolutely shocked.
So, and I guess I'll start. I just think Carolina really likes LeBron Ray. I think that's been the case these last couple of years, and I get this room has become a little bit deeper. But I've just seen some noise with some reporting from beat writers that I still think they value this guy, whether we think he should go because this room is a lot deeper or not. I'm not a big Shy Tuttle guy, so I personally just don't want him on the team anymore. So that's why he's not on here for me. Bryson thought otherwise, but I think the guys on the left, Ricky's 5, I think we all had that obviously, but I think those are no-brainers. I think those I know you want to talk about a guy and you can talk about a little bit. You're itching to talk about him. But I think Cam Jackson, I think he's shown some flashes. I still am very interested in what their plan is with Bobby Brown. I am very confused on what they're trying to do with him. He's kind of been mixed in late, and I don't know if they're trying to get him conditioning or they want him to play more and get into this, come back into this system again. Like, I am very confused. His depth chart in the unofficial depth charts is very weird. Yeah, Bobby. Did I see someone else?
He's hurt. No. I just
he's hurt. Okay.
He's hurt. Yeah, he's got the knee thing that he's dealing with.
So yeah, I've been confused about his role as of late. But yeah, I do think they still like LeBron Ray as much as a lot of us maybe want to see this guy out, and I think there is some value there in keeping 6 in this room. I do, because I think this room, as much as anything, it gets beat up, man. And you got to have guys in there. That's kind of why I went with the 6. And I'm done with Shy Tuttle. That experiment is send that guy off. Like, let's get rid of this dude.
I kept 7. So you left one out.
Did I?
Yeah.
I am sorry.
No, it's okay. I had Sam Robertson there making the team along with Tuttle. I kind of to your reasoning, Curtis, that you had mentioned with the guys getting beat up. You have Derek Brown coming back off an injury, Bobby Brown dealing with something right now. I think
You did. That's my bad. I'm sorry about
no,
that.
it's okay. I had it marked out because I thought I had 54, but then I went back and recounted and I had 53, so I put Sam Roberts back on it. So yeah, I really like what I've seen from Sam Roberts in the preseason, and then throughout practice, joint practices. I feel like he's done pretty well. So I think keeping him in that room would be good. But hey, I would not be mad if they cut Shy Tuttle. Listen, I am not like a big fan of his, but I do think the staff likes him. I heard Dave Canales in a press conference a couple days ago saying that we had those dogs out there, those beasts like Shy Tuttle playing, snaps in the preseason, and I was like, dude, that's not him, man. You got him confused with someone else, but.
Hold on now, Bryson. Hold on now, Bryson. So did you do what you wanted to do here, or did you do what you thought the team was going to do here?
He's flipping on us.
You sandbagging SOB?
A little bit of both, man, really. Because I don't know. I considered their love for Shy Tuttle. I did at this spot here. I can't lie about.
You love Shy Tuttle?
I don't. I don't love Shy Tuttle, but I do think he is at least a body at this position.
You're just a fan of Shy Tuttle's body.
Oh yeah, sign me up right now.
Ladies and gentlemen, this has reached Panthers on Tap at dark.
After, yeah. But no, I had Sam Robertson here too because I really like what I've seen from him. So I had 7.
I love Sam Roberts. Lowe brings it up here, says if it's 6, I'm keeping Sam Roberts. Sam Roberts was almost me keeping 5 over Cam Jackson. I personally have liked what I've seen from Sam Roberts more. But what I spoke about earlier about being quiet and letting somebody get through waivers intentionally, I think they'll do that with Sam. They have talked a little bit about Sam, but they haven't given him a lot of shine. They give it Cam Jackson more shine. And I think that maybe they don't feel the same way that I do, but I kind of get the feeling when you hear some of the conversation about him, right, with Cam, they're like, he still needs to develop. He's still kind of getting things under his level of comfortability. And he's got some injuries he's dealing with. By the way, LeBron Ray, part of the reason that I don't have him is because he's week to week right now with an injury. Mm-hmm. It wouldn't shock me if they try to throw him on some sort of like short-term IR and save some spots.
And I could see that.
And keep him stashed away, right? Because I don't disagree with you that I do think they love LeBron Ray for whatever reason that is. I don't think that he's like some inept like schmuck that shouldn't be playing NFL football, dude. He's a hard worker. He's a good player. But what we've done allocating money, draft picks into this defensive line, you keep those right now. Now, Jaden Crumity is another guy that they allocated a 6th-round pick in.
I wanted to talk about him. I think that was the biggest shocker out of all of us. None of us had him in here.
But how do you keep him? Because he's going up against
either
Sam Roberts, LeBron Ray, or Cam Jackson is probably who you're looking at, unless you're Bryson and you're a giant Shy Tuttle fan. Like, that's the only other option. But for me with Cam Jackson, sorry,
Defensive Player of the Year, Shy Tuttle.
I know. For me with Cam Jackson, though, man, like this is a 5th-round pick that you drafted this year. He's got the physical presence that outside of maybe Ashawn, Bobby Brown, like there's just not the same physical, natural advantages that Cam Jackson has. Cam Jackson, if you can refine some of the technique, and everyone wants to talk about leverage with Cam Jackson. It was part of what I talked about with his scouting report. But leverage is always going to be a thing that Cam Jackson struggles with. When you're that large of a human being, you are not going to see him play the position like Turk Wharton. Newsflash. Being 6'2" and 280 is different than being 6'6", 335. It is different, man. But what Cam Jackson does is that when he does get those hands in the right placement, he's going to move you. I mean, you could call Cam, I would like his middle or his nickname to be Cam 3 Men in a Truck Jackson. Like, this is who you call on moving day. You need to push something back, you call Cam Jackson. Like, this could be your secretary. Cam, the secretary Jackson. I just need you to push everything back, buddy. Like, today ain't going to work for me. Push it all back. That is what Cam can do, right? But what you need from Cam is you need consistency and you need endurance. And those are all things that I think they will not be willing to sacrifice the ability to develop him for those things because of one training camp. They drafted him in the 5th round. They drafted him in front of Jimmy Horn. They drafted him in front of other players at that position that they could have drafted. I believe was Aeneas Peebles. I can't remember. I can't remember if Aeneas Peebles was drafted before or after, but I believe Aeneas was a 5th or a 6th round
as
pick
a 5th rounder ever been cut.
Yeah, absolutely. They're not guaranteed. What's
the odds of that? Like
not great.
Percentage.
Not great.
Percentage of 5th rounders that are cut their first. It's very fucking.
I know you think I'm like Rain Man with the sports statistics, but like I can't count those.
He ain't getting caught. That's foolish.
No, I don't think so, because I also think that there is a pride factor here with Dan Morgan and Brant Tillis that I think they like what they've done. Sorry, that was the whiskey that just said "din." What they've done with this draft, I think that they appreciate it, and I think they want to see it through, man. I genuinely do think they want to see some of this through. So Cam Jackson, for me, is a really hard sell to not have him on the 53.
All right, let's go to linebacker. We're going to go right to you because we're going around here, Ricky. So we'll start with you. And honestly, I will be honest here. I started running out of time with these graphics. Listen, I started running out of time with these graphics and realized once I got to special teams, I did not have 53. I had 52. So I went back, and I almost want to change this to Bryson Tremaine as the 7th wide receiver. This is the defense one I said, fuck it. I'm putting in with Bryson, and I went with DJ Johnson. You guys know I'm not a big DJ Johnson fan.
No, I don't. Not anymore.
So if I had to go back, I'd probably go with Bryson Tremaine because I do like him, and I do think he adds value to that room. Not only just the room, but in special teams. So if I had to do this over, I'd probably do that. So that's to my defense. But Ricky, let's start with you.
Yeah.
You went with 5 in this room as well.
I did.
Talk to us about it.
First thing would be it doesn't seem like Nick Scorton's going on short-term IR, right? That was one of the big things that I was trying to figure out with this room, because if he does, then you have an opportunity to do something, whether it's keep DJ Johnson. I would not do that. I just wouldn't do it. I would have kept anyone else that was there. I would have wrote a new pal like I had done with another position. Like I would have done something different, right? I would have said, Bryson, don't you have 2 dogs at your house? You could have texted me one of their names and I'd have wrote it in. Like it's a write-in on the ballot type of situation for me. DJ Johnson, you asked me what I would do with my 53 man. I'm not. DJ Johnson's not on my football team, boys. Sorry. The name I want to circle here though is Thomas Incoom. I think there is some real smoke with this guy. I think they absolutely love Thomas Incoom. And I think he is going to be a special team standout. I really do, man. Like, we talked about that on this show a couple times. Like, who's going to fill in for Sam Franklin Jr.? Different player, Thomas Incoom and Sam Franklin Jr. But I think Incoom is going to be one of those guys that we look at the end of this year and we're like, dude, that's an impact player. Not sure that he does it all on the defensive side, but I think we're going to look at it and say, damn glad that guy was wearing process blue this season. I would love if we could figure out a way for that room to say Trey Hendrickson. I'll just leave it there.
And to be fair, before Bryson goes, our room includes everything on the left. We just added a 6. So let's just.
And that 6 is what? Can I hear both of you say it in tandem at the same time?
No, I want Bryson Tremaine. That's my pick. I'm getting rid of this graphic.
I'm keeping DJ Johnson, man. I am. I think he's a good run defender. Has basically nothing in regards to pass rush, but I guess it's to be developed. He is an older player. Came in the draft 3rd round pick in 2023.
40-year-old DJ Johnson.
Yeah, Lo, are you still in the chat? Do you want to do another shot while Bryson tells me about DJ Johnson?
I think he's sticking around, dude. I do, and I'm not like upset about it. I don't think he's the best player in the world. I don't think he really should get much playing time, but I do think he's a good special teamer. I think you can throw him in there on run downs, and he can at least be serviceable at that position at the edge spot. Again, I keep referencing it. Blueprint. He had a play. The team got excited. Make sure you pay attention to that. I think the team likes him, man. They do. And that made me feel better about this pick. So I'm keeping DJ Johnson in there.
Man, Bryson flopped on us. He's picking fucking things he thinks his team's
Hey,
gonna
no,
do.
this pick was before I watched the Blueprint episode. I watched the Blueprint episode like 7 o'clock tonight. I made these. Curtis, what time did I send this to you? Like 12 o'clock?
Yeah,
lunchtime?
It was early.
So yeah, I kept him. I think I do think he makes the team, and I'm not mad about it. I'm really not. I don't think he's a designated pass rusher, right? I agree with you guys on that wholeheartedly, but I think he's at least a serviceable run defender, and I think with the guys above him and him not playing so much, forced into it like he was the past couple seasons with the lack of depth there, I think he could be decent. I'm not completely moving off of him yet.
Do you think that he wouldn't make it through waivers?
I think he probably would. I think he probably would make it through waivers.
Yeah, I'm going to jump in here to keep this moving. I'm not even going to say reasoning because I didn't
You
want
won't even
that
let me talk to you about that, Bryson. Look at
I
that.
didn't even want that pick. I didn't want that pick. I'm taking that graphic down.
So Curtis, talk to me about why you wanted to
Hey,
keep
y'all,
Johnson like
Curtis is hiding a child. Like, this is some Pusha T shit right now. Like
I
he
do
is
want to
trying
talk about
to
income,
scrub the
though,
internet
because
of his pick.
I want to talk about Thomas Income because I don't think any of us would have had this guy in our prediction to start training camp. Can we all say that? Ricky, while you smile and pour that whiskey, you did not have this guy on your radar when we got into training camp.
Who?
Thomas
Income?
Thomas Income, yes. Thomas Income was one of the guys we talked about being
Yeah.
able to make this roster. He was
Last
literally
year?
one of the guys that flashed at the end of last year.
Okay, maybe I missed that. I don't remember that at all. But this, I'll be honest, this guy was not on my radar. I didn't remember this guy on our team last year. If you want me to be real,
Very good
I
special teams performer last year as well.
But
As well as DJ.
this preseason, I agree with Ricky that I do think he's going to be a stud on special teams for this team, and someone who's going to fill that void of. God, you mentioned Franklin. You could do the guy that went to Las Vegas. That's escaping me.
Jeremy Chin.
Ronnie. Is it Ronnie? Am I making that up? 32 of last year. What the hell was his name?
No clue what you're talking about, dude.
I can't think of him right now, but he was a special teams guy. He went to the Raiders.
Sam Franklin?
No, not Sam Franklin. He was Lonnie Johnson, not Ronnie. Lonnie Johnson. So I think or that tight end too last year that played well on special teams. I think he fills that void for them this year. So I do think he deserves. I know Ricky talked about him, but I just wanted to mention him again because me personally is not someone I was like, oh yeah, he'll be in this room. He'll be number 5. Like,
yeah. And I don't want that to seem like I was like, oh man, Thomas Income, he's such an up and riser. He's going to be terrific. That's not what I'm trying to say. But like, we definitely mentioned him at times last year during games because he played. I can't know for sure like what the exact snap count was. It was less than like 50 on defense, but he played like over 100 on special teams last year for us.
All right, let's move on here. And Bryson. So, okay, if you notice, I got we were getting out of the wire. I was getting lazy, and I'm like, I need to fire this shit off, and we need to go because I was getting tight.
Wow, look at that.
But we're all different here. Just little variants of it. So
why do y'all hate Jacoby Windman?
What
did he do to y'all?
So yeah, Ricky went with Jacoby Windman.
Jacoby.
Bryson went thin at the linebacker room, which is already a thin room. So I thought that was an interesting approach. And then instead of Wyndham, I went Bam Martin Scott. So
because you like the name?
Bryson, let's start with you. Why Claude and Cheerless at 4? And then why only 4 in a very slight room?
Yeah, Claude and Cheerless is one of the best special teams players on this roster. I think we've talked about that, but also he is dealing with some injury issues. So maybe he's not healthy. Maybe he's on short-term IR or whatever it is to start the season. But this is me basing it off of him being healthy. If everyone's healthy, this is what I think the room looks like. I decided to keep Sam Roberts over Chris Barnes or over Bam Martin Scott or over even Jacoby Wyndham. I think Wyndham has been solid in preseason. I think he really has. Ricky has highlighted him a couple times over the past couple weeks on this podcast. But look, this is a room that is not really easy on the eyes when you look at it from the roster standpoint. I think there is a lot to be desired from this room, no matter if you keep 4, 5, or 6 guys. Radigan, good special teams player. I think he's going to be involved a lot in that. And then the top 2 guys I think are locks. But yeah, I thought Roberts was a better keep for me, in my opinion, than going with Wyndham or Chris Barnes or Bam Martin Scott. I think Martin Scott is probably the furthest for me out of those 3 guys to making the roster. Then I would probably go Wyndham, then Chris Barnes. I think Chris Barnes would probably be the one I would say is closest to making it in that room, in my opinion. But yeah, I kept 4 just because I like Sam Roberts better on this team.
So Claude Sherless, I've spoke about how much I like him as a special teams player, and I do very much. Think you nailed that, Bryson. But I think he is a victim of his injuries.
Yeah,
opening windows.
Agreed.
For John Radigan, Jacoby Windman, and Chris Barnes. And the biggest threat for Claude Sherless is that Chris Barnes has NFL experience playing defense and special teams. I mean, like legit experience, right? His time in Green Bay, like this is a veteran presence in a linebacker room that is just void.
He's your backup if Rose
he's your
goes
guy,
down.
Dude. This is your guy that can step in and actually play, and you feel relatively decent about maybe even having to use the green dot with him. Like that's the other part that I tried to consider with this, right? Trevin Wallace, a lot of his development, in my personal opinion, is tethered to him not having to be the communicator, not having to be the decision maker, not having to call out everything. Because I think that when you have watched the past couple weeks, what you do see about Trevin, his initial movements are happening faster than they were happening the year prior. Like that is comfort, that is trusting himself, that's all those things. But he is still struggling, in my opinion, to get off of blocks and contact. When an offensive lineman gets their hands on Trevin, he is still relatively contained. I think that can improve throughout the season. But what's difficult to improve throughout the season is your trigger and instincts and movement quickly and processing, right? That is what he has shown improvement in. The rest is TBD. We'll see. But for Trevin, you got to keep him free of the extra. So I need a veteran in there. And that's Chris Barnes for me. And Chris Barnes is also a fantastic special teams player. John Radigan reminds me so much of Kamu Grugier-Hill. Like so much of that player. What they want him to do, what they ask him to do, what the role that they expect him to be. Special teams. Ace. If you need him in a spot on defense, you're not going to like cry and freak out. You don't want him to play extended series for 3 or 4 games because there are weaknesses to the game. And then Jacoby Windman, I think, is a developmental piece. That's the guy I think that they are not willing to let go. I think he's a special teams player, and I think that he is possibly, if you actually are worth a damn as a developmental staff, maybe that's the guy that ends up playing with Trevin Wallace after this year, if you're worth a damn. We'll see about that. I think you're more than likely to see a draft pick playing with him, but Jacoby Windman may end up being that like linebacker 3 role next year.
I'm not going to reiterate a lot what you said, but Barnes, I think, is on here without a doubt, just based off his experience in the league. And if someone goes down, he can fill in that role. I went with Bam Martin Scott. I thought he had some flashes at FanFest. There was a couple times I remember mentioning him by name to Bryson. I think he had 29%, 30. He was in the third. I thought he was in the 30s this last game, percentage-wise of snaps. And in that joint practice against Houston when Trevin Wallace was out, he played most of the joint practice as the backup to him. So I think he's made some plays in preseason. I think with his play share in practice, I think he is going to make this roster. over the two guys you mentioned. Cheerless for me, it was injury. I don't. It sounds like he could be out for a little bit here, so that's kind of where he fell. I know Bryson, you went off of if he was healthy week 1. I just prediction wise, I don't think that's going to happen. So I went with Bam Martin Scott. I think he's shown flashes, and I think he's gotten some more playing time than Wyndham or Windman. So
I keep talking about him like he's a damn hotel chain.
Hey, we'll see. We'll see what
Nothing
happens.
beats a Jet 2 holiday.
Yeah, put some respect on my man's name, Jacoby Windman, baby. I got you, Jacoby.
And I just want to shout out, we've topped 1,000 people listening. It's 11:11 at night. Make a wish, folks, right now. But no, we appreciate every single one of you. It's not something to joke about. We love every single one of you in here tuned in, listening to our dumbass predictions at 11 at night. So,
but maybe they won't be dumbass predictions.
Exactly.
Y'all don't let Curtis you.
As you see these predictions, again, I was under the gun trying to get these graphics together. You're gonna see pictures go away here soon because I was running out of time. So
I was going to say that you picked the wrong player because you had sausages to cook.
Before we move on, I got to ask Ricky the same question he asked me. Ricky, do you not think Wyndham is going to clear waivers?
Windman.
No, because if you look around the NFL, I thank you very much for asking this question because this is a great question for me to continue my love affair of Jacoby Windman and in the middle of
the roster.
Jacoby Wyndham.
No, but listen. Here's the deal. I think that when you look around, I don't know when the last time y'all have done this, but when I was building my list, right, of potential cut candidates and guys that we should just have like on our radar, right? These aren't guys that I know for sure are going to be cut and available, but just on the radar. The middle linebacker position in the NFL right now is kind of like the offensive line position used to look 3 or 4 years ago, and even currently still.
Yeah,
it's an apocalypse deadland out there for depth of middle linebacker. And yeah, there are some rookies, there are some young players that could potentially be cut and you get your chance with them, right? And I've got a couple of them that I like a lot that I have in mind, but they're young players that you don't know what they are. As far as established, proven players at that position, dude, there's not a lot, Bryson. Like, there's just not a lot. And Jacoby Windman is a guy who, when you cut on, and this is what teams will do, right? They're going to cut on preseason games, and they're going to look at the preseason action. Here's the really funny thing I wish that Dave Canales could understand too. They're not going to watch joint practice film. These teams aren't going to watch joint practice film. That might be where he thinks the best work is happening, but guess what? When they try to poach your players off the practice squad, guess where they're going to do it? Off of the preseason film, because that's what's available to them. And when you turn on the preseason film, I would love, like, and maybe if I had the ability or the time to do this, take all of the inside linebacker preseason film. And you could do this on NFL Pro. You could go and you can just select a position. You can select on field, defense and special teams, and you can get a cut up. You can get plays for every single one of them in the preseason. I bet you Jacoby Windman stacks up relatively decent, man, to be completely honest. And there are going to be teams out there that are struggling in that department for depth, that they might see Jacoby and say, what, he's going to cost us $450,000 to bring him in, and either he's on our practice squad or we put him in as a fourth string guy. Yeah, I'm not sure he clears waivers, man.
All right, let's move on here to cornerbacks.
You didn't even put the pictures of them. You really did just.
I told you I was running out of time, dude. So this is the first time me and Bryson agree solely on a position group. So Ricky went with, if I can count correctly, 6 with a new pal coming in hot and
that's right.
That position group. Ricky, tell us about a Caleb Evans, because I just don't see this unless they really thought. Does anyone remember seeing Evans on the field? Because I sure as hell don't.
Well, you know what I'll say, and I think that it's more about, do you remember seeing Shamar Bartholomew on the field?
Yeah, and it might be what they want to see what he's got. So I get the other side of that.
No, but
he was on the field a lot.
Yes.
Yeah, so they're trying to see what he got. So I get that. No, I get the flip side.
But hold on. But maybe they saw him. And by the way, Caleb played 22 snaps on defense last week.
And what about the week before?
I think it might have been less than that, but also
Okay.
Shamar played less than that. No, but he played less than that. And what happened is Shamar Bartholomew showed every single person that was watching that game why he doesn't need to be on an NFL 53 roster. Guys, do y'all think Shamar Bartholomew clears roster or clears waivers if he's good?
Well, Ricky, if you look around the league right now, there is a dead zone, a wasteland at cornerback position. So what they're going to do is they're going to cut on the joint practice film across the league.
I can't believe I just got by myself. That was crazy. It was
and
like Hunter Renfrow was just dogging me out in front of everybody right now.
I will say this.
Bryson just ran a damn whip route on me.
I will say I kind of flipped on this one and thought and kind of used this as what they would do. Because you're right. I don't like Shamar at all. I've been shit talking that guy this whole entire training camp. But I do think he makes this roster. So I kind of flipped on that prediction of what I would do. Because if I had the choice, I'd probably do a new pal at 5. If you want me to be honest.
Yeah, I would have done that too. I would have.
Well, but you didn't. Okay.
I didn't know that was an option, guys. Okay.
Of course, it's an option. Use your imagination.
Yes, it is.
All right. So look, Caleb Evans. Here's the other thing too, man. 3 years playing in the NFL. He's got some experience. He's got special teams experience. His special teams experience has not been bad. He is a decent player that you can.
Why are we talking about these back end guys? They both suck. Let's move on. Let's talk about Corey Thornton for a minute.
Listen, do you hear Curtis? Curtis is like, hey, look, 4 people play football a week. That's all we need. We need 6 guys out there.
Let's be real. These back end guys, they got their asses whooped against the Falcons last year. Let's talk about the top 4.
Which one of them got their asses whooped the most against the Falcons last year?
Bartholomew. It was terrible.
Bartholomew. Oh,
I mean, I've been talking about that all of the.
Which one of them had the worst game against the Houston Texans in week 2 of the preseason?
A new pal. That guy sucks.
A new pals might be Dwight McGlothern. Everybody, I want you and Joshua Williams. I'm going to give you 2 names right now. Dwight McGlothern and Joshua Williams are the 2 names that I would watch right there for a new pal.
Where would your guy from Kansas State rank on this right now?
Number 2.
Yeah,
he would be right underneath J.C. Horn and barely underneath.
I want to ask you about.
He's having a hell of a preseason, dude.
Hell of a preseason, because you know why? Because he's a hell of a football player.
Yeah. I want to ask you about Smith Wade, because.
You sure?
I felt like this offseason, I don't know if you would have had him at 3. Maybe by default,
ain't no other chance.
Maybe by default, by default. But have you kind of turned the corner on Smith Wade, or you just don't have a choice at this moment?
I love everything I've heard about Smith Wade.
What about what you've seen?
Well, in preseason, how much have we seen?
Yeah,
now, what I have seen that I like about what they're doing with Shaw Smith Wade, they're sending him on pressures. I like that development. Now, the pressures haven't been effective, but they are sending him on blitzes. I think that I trust. So here's the really hard part, guys. And like Bryson, I think that you'll understand this a lot because you and I kind of feel the same about like Dan Morgan and what we want to be able to feel about him as a GM and an evaluator, right? I want so badly, man, to just have like blind faith in Dan Morgan about being able to know the game of football and see it and know talent, right? And he said that Shaw Smith Wade is going to be difficult to take off the field. To me, that screams a guy that he sees as like an impact difference-making player with alignment versatility, which is important. But I still think if he's not making plays, man, I mean turning the ball over, he looks good in run support and he looks good in tackling. I will say that, man. One thing about Shaw, no matter how small he is, that dude doesn't play like a small guy. He plays willingly physical football, and I like that. Coverage is still going to be an issue. He had a couple of routes or a couple of reps against Christian Kirk. Now, Christian Kirk is a great test, guys, because Christian Kirk is a proven slot NFL receiver, right? But Christian Kirk got loose on him a handful of times. I'd say 3 reps, I think, that I could note from preseason 2. That Christian Kirk he got him. I mean, he got him. Man reps aren't easy, They're difficult, but that's the NFL, right? Like being in closing distance is pertinent. And Shaw sometimes in coverage gets a little bit too much separation between him and his inside receiver. But am I out on him? No. Y'all made it seem like I thought of Shaw Smith-Wade the way that y'all look at Jacoby Windman, not Wyndham, but Windman. I think y'all feel the same.
I like Windman. I like Windman. I just don't like Wyndham.
Oh, you just don't like Wyndham. Oh, I got you. Well, then look, we've been barking up the wrong tree this whole damn time, man.
Hey, to our defense, there is a golf tournament here called the Wyndham.
That's true.
So, your defense, that is crazy. We don't know a Panthers player, but there is a golf tournament.
Dude, I called Jonathan Brooks Jonathan Taylor, I think, last week.
We're teetering on being Panthers on tee right now.
That's very true.
Bryson, you want to chime in on any of these guys? None of us have touched Corey Thornton at all. Tell us about him.
Dude, been solid, man. He's been really good. I'm very excited about the physicality he brings, being able to play that press man. He's had a couple plays in preseason where you're like, damn, I wish he would have got that. But like 80% of his reps have been good. I mean, they've been really good. And he's not going against the Justin Jeffersons or starting receivers at this point in the preseason, but
times
that's true. And the people he has gone against, when he's been asked to play, he has gotten the job done. And I think that's really the most you can ask of an undrafted free agent in his first year playing and playing well. So I think Thornton is damn near close to a lock to make this 53. I would be just so shocked if he didn't. He is someone that I would believe without a doubt would not clear waivers. He would not.
Sorry, I wasn't trying to interrupt you, man. You were still going.
No, you're good. From what I've seen in preseason, I don't think he would clear waivers. I really don't.
You mentioned not going up against the top receivers. We know that Deontay Johnson's bullshit off field has been very difficult for any team to incorporate and move on, including it. But on the field, Deontay Johnson is a good separator. He's a good route runner. He's quick off the line of scrimmage. Yeah. And they threw Corey Thornton out there and press against him a handful of times. And let's just call a spade, boys.
Get that seatbelt.
Yeah, he put that seatbelt on, right? Like, hey, Joe Bello, make Corey Thornton a nice little sticker, man. Make him a nice little vinyl sticker. I think he's earned one for the preseason, right? Maybe just like a little like kitty seatbelt or something like that, like a little like strap seatbelt with the latch system around the waist.
Car seat.
Yeah, a little latch system, right? Like show the little buckles around his waist. Like I think that works. But no, I think the Corey Thornton, man, like we have asked to see him put it on film and prove it. I think he's done what you asked of him, man. I don't think I'm not in the corner of saying that he's taken Mike Jackson's spot. No, I don't believe that.
I'm about to say that. I'm close.
No. Yeah, I mean, it's interesting, and I think that he's got more promise for the future to keep developing him. But I'm not there. I think Mike Jackson has still been a very consistent player for us, and I still like Mike Jackson. I still think he's a useful player and a valuable player.
We'll see once the bullets start flying.
And just to clarify my new pal thing, we saw them churn the bottom of the roster last year in this room, right? Sure. And I think that's what I expect. I don't expect them to bring Shamar Bartholomew along for the ride. If they had to carry 6 that are on the team, I guess Shamar is the one. But I don't actually. You know what? I take that back. I think Travion Thomas would count him as a corner.
You didn't put him in there.
I think that he's an undrafted free agent out of Arkansas State. I think that he ends up making it through waivers as well. But I think they love him as a nickel. I really think they think that he has potential as a nickel, and the rest of this roster doesn't really have a nickel backup. So when you talk about having someone that could be called up, maybe he is one of those guys they look at and say, he could play safety, he could play nickel. Like, this is a guy that we like to have that versatility. But he would probably be the guy that if I went 6, I just think they're going to bring 6, though, because they also need special teams guys, and a Caleb is a special teams player as well.
All right, let's go to safety. I took Ricky's approach here, and I put a new pal at 4 because I think I don't want Nick Scott on this roster. I can't put him on here. I don't even know why I put my name next to DJ Johnson. I'm still shaking my damn head at that.
Look at Bryson. I love the name at the bottom, Bryson.
Yeah, Bryson went out on a limb. But I'm going with a new pal. I think they go and sign someone. They clearly had some interest, at least, in bringing in some outside guys to at least, test them out physically this offseason, even after the draft. So I do think there's interest there to at least bring someone else in. I don't know
Do you
how
think
much
they're going for a starter, or do you think they're going for depth?
I think they go for depth at this point. I think if they wanted a starter, they would have went out and gotten Julian Blackmon right away. I think potentially a Justin Simmons. I don't know what he shakes out in this room because he has got some obvious ties to Evero. But I do think they bring in a depth piece in this room. I'm over the Nick Scott project. I think we're done here. So I just couldn't do it. But I do want to go to Bryson because this one I did not see coming, honestly. I know he has made a couple plays. I think I mentioned his name last week. But Bryson, give us the lowdown here on your love for Isaac Gifford.
Yeah, Curtis, I didn't have the privilege of seeing the new pal option when making this, so maybe I would have went new pal here. But hey, you guys remember that tackle he made on that punt and saved a touchdown? Yeah, that's more than I've ever seen from Nick Scott on this team. So, okay, I don't want to see Nick Scott on this roster at all. So this was me. Nick Scott does nothing for me. Maybe he can stand on the sideline, hold a clipboard in a different life, but as a player, I'm good. He doesn't bring any positives to my team. So I would much prefer Isaac Gifford over Nick Scott. I would much prefer Ricky Raines at safety over Nick Scott.
No, you
anyone.
Wouldn't.
Same.
Anyone.
No, you wouldn't.
Wholeheartedly, I would, Ricky. I promise. So yeah, I'm Gifford. I think has shown a little bit in preseason. And maybe there's some room to grow there, maybe not. He's a decent special teams player from what we've seen. Nick Scott, I think
I like him.
I think Nick Scott.
Well, you didn't like him enough to put him on your damn roster cut, Ricky.
No,
I'm not letting you down on this one. Give us
this is worse than DJ Johnson. This is worse than DJ Johnson.
Not even remotely worse than DJ Johnson.
Way worse.
First of all, I just would like to know whatever it is that you guys smoked before writing up these 53s with DJ Johnson and with some of these guys. Stop holding out on your boy. Like, I like doing shit too. Okay, so pass it to me because I want to know. Now, look, this Nick Scott thing that you guys are talking about, like, this is a worse crime. This is a crime that's worse than having DJ Johnson. The edge room has actual talent in it. And you guys said,
does too?
What does?
Safety room.
What does?
Talent. The
safety room has talent?
Yeah.
It has 3 pieces of talent. See this?
Ricky's backing down on his Lathan Ransom. He's been
no. I'm not
for the last 4 weeks.
I'm not backing down on Lathan Ransom. I said it has 3 pieces of talent.
2 legs and a thigh.
That's please. And guess what? Lathan Ransom is a thigh. Like, that dude is the juicy. He's the good chicken. That dude right there. That's the promise. Trayvon Merrick, starter. He's a shoe-in. He's a staple of the defense.
Yeah, clear as day.
Lathan Ransom, for me, is the second starter on that defense.
Me too.
I don't think it's even close. If you want my honest-to-God opinion, and that is not a slight to Damani Richardson, it is 1,000% a slight to Nick Scott, but it is not a slight to Damani Richardson. I think that Lathan Ransom is a very good football player.
We talked about Nick Scott.
We talked about this. We talked about this when we got into the draft, right? And we talked about them selecting Lathan. I was very high on that. Why is Nick Scott on this roster? It's the reason that David Moore was on the roster last year. Because there's not somebody that's better. They love the communication aspect that Nick Scott gives to Lathan Ransom and Damani Richardson, the familiarity with the defense. They've already talked about that. If you listen to what Dave Canales, and this was my big rant last week. This was my giant rant where I was all pissed off and got even more red in the face than I usually am. And I talked about Nick Scott, and I said, they love so much what this dude can do, talking about it and communicating and telling everybody and teaching everybody.
My biggest question, and I hate to cut you off here, is
no, you don't. You've done it like 3 times now.
Did you finally flop on this position group that you picked Nick Scott because you think they're going to keep him on their roster?
Yeah, he did.
That's what I'm hearing.
No, not at all.
So you
I
like
did.
him as the fourth?
I like him as a fourth because in my mind, what that means for Nick Scott is that he is simply playing special teams. And then when you have two guys that you could call up from the practice squad every week, you know who I would call up? I would call up Bryson's 53-man roster right there, Isaac Gifford, because I think he clears and I think he makes it on the practice squad. And I think that's the special teams player that fills in for Nick Scott. I don't think that I think Nick Scott may see a week, maybe 2 weeks as a starting safety. I think that there is a real possibility that Evero and this coaching staff give him the starting job for a week or two. And then I think that they are going to pass the torch. I just do, man. I don't know why it is. I don't know what makes me think that. I don't know what the reason would be. I think whatever reason it is, I think it's incorrect. But I could see them doing it. But you can't stop the storm that is Lathan Ransom or Damani Richardson from happening. Those are young players with futures and potential. Nick Scott is a guy that you know who he is, and you also know that he's not your starter for the year. So it is a matter of time. It is a matter of when, not if, that Lathan Ransom or Damani Richardson will be starting. I hope that it is before week 1. I hope they make that decision. But they are not cutting Nick Scott, guys. Like, they're not cutting their only other experienced starter to or safety, not even starter, but safety, to bring Isaac Gifford or the kid out of Minnesota or whatever it is. In the new pal thing, hey, new pal sounds great. Show me the safety. There's one, Keaton Crawford. I'm going to say his name. Keaton Crawford is a guy that I think could be cut. I would 1,000% sign Keaton Crawford. And if we can get Keaton Crawford, Nick Scott can kick the fuck off. Like, I will literally help him find a place in Sheboygan next week. Like, I will the
Sheboygan?
cheapest. Yeah, Sheboygan.
Man.
Do you want to go to Sheboygan with Nick Scott?
I'm impressed with you, Ricky. That's like 20 minutes from my hometown.
It's a good place that has cheap real estate and they're friendly folks around there. And I think that would be a place where Nick Scott would flourish because there's not a whole ton of football played over there either. So that is a safe space. Enjoy your brats, enjoy your beer, enjoy the cows.
Amen. Let's go to special teams because I want to keep this moving because I do want to. There's something that came up that I just found on Twitter and we need to talk about it. It's something.
He's trying to avoid this being a 4-hour episode.
It's something that we talked about earlier in the episode, and I think it's gained a little steam. So special teams, it sucked because none of us did returners, and I kind of wish we would have done that. Obviously, one of those guys in our roster is going to be the returner. But we all agreed on this. We all think Ryan Fitzgerald, Sam Martin, J.J. Jansen. Real quick, I just want to get your guys' just make this quick. Why Ryan Fitzgerald? Is it the potential of the big leg, or is it what? Where'd you guys fall on that?
Potential of the big leg.
Yeah, you didn't see that 52-yard field goal?
Yeah.
Like, y'all obviously didn't drive down my cul-de-sac. I was burning couches like it was fucking Franklin Street and the Tar Heels just won the national championship. I had a whole party out here. We hit a 50-plus yarder. And then we didn't have a kicker there. After he kicked the 50-yarder, we didn't have him go out there and put his little fucking hands up like this. He didn't even do that. So, yeah, give me the guy and kick 50 yards.
I think Fitzgerald, trust me, has not been without struggles this offseason in this competition with Matthew Wright. I think Matthew Wright's been a little bit more consistent. But when you talk about the potential of that leg and then him hopefully improving, leading up to the regular season and in the regular season, I think Fitzgerald just has more promise there. I think if you cut Matthew Wright, he's going to be available. He's not going to be signed to be another team's starting kicker. So if Fitzgerald doesn't work out, then you can bring Matthew Wright in, later in the season if need be. So I'm taking the chance on Fitzgerald, man. I really am.
Yeah, I think Bryson, we were literally wading in the water in the river, and he made that 52-yarder. I said, "It's time." I think I said, "Let's cut Matt Wright." It's time. We're done.
No. These were your words. Fuck Matthew Wright.
Yeah, that's what it was. You're right. I'm over that. We know it. I look at it this way. You know what you got in Matthew Wright. If you really need to bring him back later in the season, if shit turns sideways, I think you could bring him in. He's a guy you call in when you need him in a pinch, and that's kind of what he does well.
Did his Ethernet just freeze? He talked about the beginning of the episode about this whole like Ethernet and fiber.
Dude, look at his face. Look at his face, man.
All right, hey, Curdy, you're gonna have to back out of there and come back in because they got you looking down bad out here. Who are y'all just talking about right there?
We were talking about the kickers, when we were watching the preseason game in the river on my phone. Fitzgerald made that kick, that 50-yard kick, and Curtis's words were "fuck Matthew Wright. We don't want him on this team." So, where do you land with those kickers?
I think that Matthew Wright has like the experience, right? And so you remember when they said, I believe it was Tracy Smith that said, like, we have NFL kickers on this roster. Remember when he said that? I think that at first, I think that he was referring to Matthew Wright. But then when you saw, and that's part of that is because of kicking on those skinny posts. Matthew Wright has been more accurate on those skinny posts throughout camp. If you just take numbers on like what they've done, he's been more accurate. But then when you look at going into the preseason, Ryan Fitzgerald did something that Matthew Wright wasn't able to replicate later in the game. He hit a 52-yarder. Now, I know the other one was 55, but that 55 was way off. I mean, it wasn't even close. And that is going to remind you that you're going to have misses regardless, right? But having a guy that can hit a long field goal to win a game or to tie a game and save your offense from having to do all the hard lifting, right? I just think that's valuable, man. And so give me the young guy that you can develop because they have also been burned by letting the young guy go for the fucking old guy that can't kick a long field goal.
Can I ask this quick? Because I didn't see the 55-yarder, Ricky. Was it short or was it just wide? Like
wide right. Wide right.
But it was long enough.
I don't think so. I don't even think it went to 55. Okay. I mean, honestly, I'd have to go back and look. But like it wasn't even within the first 2 seconds of the kick. I literally looked at it and I was like, that ain't going in. Like there ain't a chance in hell. You know what I mean? But with Ryan's kicks, like you look at it and you're like, I mean, you could tell the guy can't kick, man. Like, I don't know a whole shit ton about the technique of a kicker. Never been a kicker. Never studied a kicker. You know what I mean? Like that just ain't something that I know about, man. So I'm not going to sit here and lie to everybody about it. But you can just see that the way the football comes off of his foot, it has a trajectory of the guys that we have seen in the past, these young guys with big legs, you know, the Harrison Buckers, the Harrison Memphis. Shit, can we find a kicker that has the first name Harrison for crying out loud? Like, can we just go find anyone that kicks a football whose first name is Harrison? Because I think that that's a good chance. But right now, we'll take the Irishman. We'll take Ryan Fitzgerald, right? Like, there's something that we could do. We could all chug a beer when he makes a kick or something like that. Like, that could be fun.
I want to switch gears. I know we're all on the same page with this, with the special teams, but I want to go back to something we talked about, and you know, we think it's some sort of joke or very hypothetical. Let's just put it that way. But I want to share this, and this was as I don't know what the hell I'm doing.
Shout out the chat, by the way, while you figure this out. Sitting here talking about. Y'all should do long shows. This is fun. Y'all are cooking like
we always do long shows.
Man, no, but I appreciate the fact that y'all are sitting here and listening for this long and that y'all are enjoying it. Because I will say this has been a really fun episode, man. We finally get some football to talk about, and I'm glad everyone's tuned in for this.
All right, let's talk about this right here. So Kay Adams had Kevin O'Connell on today, and she told Kevin O'Connell that she would like the Vikings to bring back Adam Thielen, and this was his reaction. This big old smile on his face. And one of the Vikings fans said, welcome back 19. Thoughts on this? I did not see this until now. I just saw this pop up on Twitter. You guys might have seen this already. Maybe this is old news at this point. But
that smile.
That looks like a guy who's has a trade in place for number 19.
I'm going to tell you exactly what that smile is. Bryson, I'm sorry to jump ahead, but I got to tell you exactly what that smile is. Who is he smiling at?
Kay Adams.
The ruiner of fucking lives. Yeah. Kay Adams. Kay Adams could have the most morose, depressed SOB in the world have that size dimple on a grin. Like, she has gotten – I think that if you sat her down, if she was the moderator for a Donald Trump and Vladimir Putin sit-down, I think that you would have national security secrets everywhere because they would both be telling her anything that she wanted to hear. She is the absolute kryptonite to any grown man's Superman. And so I think what Kevin O'Connell was sitting there doing, he was sitting there and he's like, just keep asking me questions. right? Like he's sitting there with his hand on his head and his mind. And he's like, just keep talking to me. Like, I'll tell you that we're going to sign Adam Thielen. If it's going to extend the conversation, I'll tell you we're going to do it. Like, I haven't spoken a word to Dave Canales. Don't even know him. Don't care if I know him. But like, I'll sign his wide receiver. I'll sign his damn kicker. I'll sign anybody you want me to sign. What you want me to do, Kay? Give me a directive and watch me fucking crush it. Like
Bryson?
Yeah, I'm not putting much stock into facial expressions, like Ricky mentioned when talking to Kay Adams, because I'd be sitting there looking the exact same, speaking to her. So yeah, I think it's a cool story, whatever it may be, but I think when we talked about it earlier, you guys made really good points about why would Carolina do this? Is it going to be an offer that moves them? I think this just really doesn't give me much stock, or I don't put much thought into this situation.
So Kay commented on this.
Her comment is
hold on.
Interesting.
Yeah. So Kay commented, the guy said, "Welcome back 19." And she goes, "I'm not kidding. I couldn't tell you what was going on." So anyway.
I think she might have a crush on Kevin O'Connell.
Y'all know I won't even barely retweet K stuff because I don't want that kind of smoke in my life. I don't want nothing. I ain't want nothing to do with it, man. I'm a married
man.
Brother.
Same.
I ain't messing with none of that. So like Kevin O'Connell, you smile all you want, big dog. Like you got bigger stones than I do because I ain't putting that shit in my life.
So I want to end on this, and then I guess maybe we can talk about some expectations for this preseason game. But I want to end on the jersey over my left shoulder, as I have to figure out which shoulder it's fucking over. Hey, we're 4 or 5 beers in, so give me a break.
I just got a new one. This is a caramel pumpkin.
Oh, you and those pumpkin beers. Ricky's got about, hey, if you haven't tuned in until like the last half, Ricky's got like 20 pumpkin beers lined up. He's got ready to roll.
I got 3 beers. I've had 2 shots. Come on, don't oversell it.
But anyway, the jersey over here. This is the Auburn Cam Newton jersey. I put it up here for a reason. Auburn is going to retire Cam Newton's jersey. Deservedly so. One of the best, if not the best, college football player ever to play the game. And it brings up the conversation that I think a lot of us have had. I know me and Bryson have had on the show. I think maybe Ricky we've had on the show about Cam Newton. But it brings the question, should the Panthers follow suit in retiring his number? Should they put him in the ring of honor finally? What is the holdup here? So I want to have that conversation because I know it's been debated widely across several years, and Cam Newton has been out of the league for several now, and he has clearly said he's pretty much retired. He hasn't officially done it. I don't think he ever will, it sounds like. He doesn't want to. But your guys' take on the retired jersey, and should David Tepper follow suit and do it himself and retire the number 1 here in Carolina? No one has won or worn that number since he left.
Yeah, I'll keep it short and sweet. Very deserved at Auburn. I think he is the best quarterback to ever play college football. That year he took Auburn, to the championship and won all those accolades. I think there hasn't been a season like that. As far as Carolina goes, pretty similar. He's MVP of this league, took Carolina to a Super Bowl with a roster that was piss poor. The defense was good, but around him, that offensive line, the wide receivers, a good tight end. But I think when your wide receiver 1 is Ted Ginn Jr. and you're in the Super Bowl, and you have an MVP caliber season, I think that speaks for itself. It really does. In my opinion, he's the best player to ever put on a Panthers jersey. I think that one should be retired. I don't think anyone else should ever wear it again. So I think Carolina should follow suit.
When I think of the greatest college quarterback seasons, I think of Vince Young, I think of Cam Newton, and probably Tim Tebow. And I'm not a big Tim Tebow fan as far as like talent in the NFL, but what he did in the NFL is undeniable. And he also played season splitting time with Chris Leak, who I played against when he quarterbacked here at Independence High School in Charlotte, North Carolina. So a little bit of soft spot there. But Cam Newton, his college trajectory was wild, right? Like Florida Gator quarterback had the whole issue there with the laptop. People can make that into a bigger thing if you want to. But then he goes to Blinn College, where he is wildly too talented for that. Wins a championship there. Goes to Auburn, SEC. First year playing with those boys, championship. Undefeated. Bryson, you said he's the best player to ever play for the Carolina Panthers. I think he's the most talented. I think that there is a legitimate argument for a couple of guys, Luke Kuechly being one of them, that could argue about being the best player. But I'm also not going to fault you for that. So to keep it short and sweet, like you said, yes, he deserves to have his number retired. I think that I would do it. It seems like they are already on the path to reconciling that relationship. And so I wouldn't be surprised if that happens sooner than later. I really like Cam Newton, man, and I hope that it happens for him because I think he's earned it.
Yeah, I'll keep it short. I just think his impact on the Carolinas is unmatched with anyone. And I would put him up there with Bryson. He's one or two top Panthers of all time. Ron Rivera talks about it. You could barely find a Panthers jersey in a store when those two kind of took over, and he changed the entire trajectory of this team and put Carolina on the map for folks to kind of respect them for a short period of time. And it wasn't long, but those few seasons, the 15-1, the MVP, all those back-to-back seasons where, they had success, was because of Cam Newton, and Bryson touched on it. I mean, when you're throwing Ted Ginn Jr. and Jericho Cotchery and Philly Brown and Brenton Burson in the playoffs and Super Bowl, I don't know how many quarterbacks could do that and put up the numbers he did. So, yeah, he deserves a number retired. He deserves a statue outside the stadium. Put him in the Ring of Honor. It's about time, Tepper. Wash your hands. Wash your dirty hands of whatever you've done in the past. Let's come to the table and get this settled because it's been too long. He's been put out of a lot of things. The one that comes to mind, that 2015 season. Do we ever hear interviews with Cam Newton? We haven't seen anything from him. So they need to mend that very quickly. It's been way too long, and it's time.
How many PSLs do you think were sold just because of Cam Newton that are still active right now because of Cam Newton? Because I know my sister is one.
Mm-hmm.
My sister was a Cam Newton fanatic, like absolutely, like lost her mind, thought that was the greatest thing in the world, and she bought PSLs.
Mm-hmm.
I think that there are probably a lot of Panthers players or Panthers fans that are paying yearly chunks of their income because of that man right there on that screen.
Yep.
And that are just waiting for the moment to recapture that feeling, and they're not willing to give up. And they're willing to pay it to recapture that feeling.
Well,
trying to recapture the feeling of Cam Newton is crazy, but that shows you how great that feeling was, is that it's almost like a junkie looking for his fix. You're sitting there and you're just like, I am willing to go through hell to find that feeling again.
It's a prime example is the Washington game. You went to that game, it was an entirely different atmosphere, and you cannot replicate that. I don't know any football team where you'd have that big of a turnout for a guy who hadn't played in a couple years and he was coming back for a one-game stint. Like it was unbelievable. It really was. So it's unmatched, the impact he's had on the Carolinas, no doubt about it. So, all right, guys, quick expectations for preseason 3. Make it quick, one or two sentences. What are you looking at? Is there any guy you're specifically watching?
Bryce Perkins cooking, baby. Yeah, he's going to throw for 400 yards and 4 touchdowns, and Bryson Tremaine's going to catch 3 of those.
Let's be real. We'll probably see Jake Plummer for 3 quarters and Bryce Perkins for a
probably
quarter.
Probably so. No expectations, man. It's the 3rd preseason game. No starters playing. I'm just going to watch and see if Corey Thornton makes plays.
I'm looking for the sequencing of the play calling from Dave Canales and Ejiro Evero because they're calling plays. So I want to see the flow of the play calling because no matter who is executing them, y'all have put yourselves in a position to say that this is your trial run. Y'all came out and said that. I mean, you put that out there for everybody to rightfully judge you. So guess what? For this game, your job is to make lemonade out of lemons, if you will, right? Like you have to at least show me that you understand when situationally to call plays. I don't want this to be, finish a task that you're asking the offense and defense to do. I want you to execute what you guys are calling. This is supposed to get you in rhythm. So that is exactly what I'm watching for from a personnel standpoint. Nah, man. There are guys fighting for their jobs to try to make rosters. I would love to see Sam Roberts do something. I would love to see Bryson Tremaine do something. I would love to see Jacoby Windman, not Wyndham. I would love to see Jacoby Windman have a really nice game. And I think James Mitchell can have a little bit of an impact.
I'll tell you what, if Windman makes the team, he will be called Wyndham the entire year.
The fuck you will.
What I want to see Fitzgerald run away with this job. That's what I want to see in this game. You guys all touched on it. I'm going to leave it there. We appreciate everyone for tuning in tonight. Again, we do have that giveaway. It's Musim Muhammad signed jersey in a frame. We will be picking the winner right before the regular season. So please, all you got to do is subscribe to our YouTube channel, send us a screenshot. You'll be entered in. We appreciate every single one of you guys for tuning in. And we're almost at 1,100 people at almost midnight.
Crazy.
And I need to get the hell to bed. I'll see y'all later. Have a good night. And as always, keep pounding.